Alright. I'm pretty fucking irritated with this streaming process, but I'm gonna goddamn do my best. I do not like how this works at all. Okay, so what I plan to be doing is I want to watch several videos that I think really complement each other. I'm going to watch them on a speed that's comfortable for me. I'm just going to link them below. Watch them at whatever speed is comfortable for you, or watch them with me. I'm going to have a few things to say about them. These videos that I'm watching right now are called what I labeled the Bootstraps Fallacy. That is what I think they have in common, and that is what I am going to be streaming. Alright.
I used to think that conservatives and right-wing types are pretty much just evil. That they don't give a damn about people who are suffering, they're just generally cold-hearted pricks. Why else would they be so rapidly opposed to any sort of social welfare program that helps the poor or people in need?
Some people just simply have their hand out and they want something for nothing.
But that is like, hold up. There are a lot of conservatives out there. If this theory is true, that would mean that a huge chunk of the population are like heartless monsters. And that's just ridiculous. If that's true, then I might as well just kill myself now, because there's no hope for humanity. Okay, maybe there's some other reason why people are against social welfare and social justice. You know, some other reason besides being a cold-hearted prick. There's only one way to find out. I need to learn more about what these people believe. So I started looking at the right-wing worldview, not like far-right fascists, but conservatives and right-wing liberals, reading their articles, watching their videos, and after doing this for a long while, I was like, there's a moral philosophy here. One that expresses concern for the well-being of others. What? One that wants to alleviate people's suffering and enhance their well-being. Yes, it surprised me too. Although, if you're a conservative or right-wing type, first of all, hello, thank you for watching, and you're probably not surprised at all. In fact, you're probably surprised and a bit offended, and I was surprised. Like, why would I assume you're an asshole? What kind of asshole am I to assume you're an asshole? Fuck this lucky black cat bitch. And if you're on the left, you might be thinking, what do you mean they're not assholes? Are you fucking kidding me? You're basically a fascist sympathizer. Fuck this lucky black cat bitch. Wow, this video is off to a good start. Hopefully there's still someone watching. Hi, Mom. Nah, who am I kidding? She probably stopped watching too. People gravitate towards political ideas for different reasons. And yeah, I do believe there are people who gravitate towards the conservative right because they're cold-hearted assholes. But I don't think this is the case for most people. I think most right-wing people gravitate towards these views because it gives them a philosophy that makes them feel empowered. Some even believe that this philosophy will make the world a better place. This is something that this video will explore. Why people are attracted to right-wing views and how empowerment and even altruism can be prime motivations. I think these motives are true for most conservatives. You know, the people who you might work with or sit at the table with on holidays. But I can't say if they're true for any particular right-wing or anti-SJW spokesperson. I don't know. I can't see into their heart. And if I could, I think I'd be too scared to look. Too scared to look. Too scared to look. There, that's better. Some nice fluffy clouds to soothe the mind. So here's the plan for this video. I'm going to explain what this right-wing moral philosophy is, what makes it appealing to people, explain the motive, the impact, is it helpful, is it harmful, and also why people who are into this philosophy are so close-minded to left-wing ideas. So what is this right-wing moral philosophy? Well, who better to explain it than one of today's best-known conservative thinkers, the supreme top story himself, the one, the only, the infamous,
I am not irritated. I am not in a hurry, I am just irritated at the several failed attempts to get this stream started that I did before this.
Shapiro. Total personal responsibility, or what I like to call radical responsibility. Not radical as in getting to the root, but radical as in extreme. You are completely responsible for your success or for your failure. If you find yourself at the bottom of society, at the bottom of the hierarchies of wealth and power, that's on you.
Yeah, you problem.
Don't blame anyone else, and don't look to anyone else for help. It's all on you. This worldview despises the left, because the left focuses on blaming outside forces. We leftists blame capitalism, imperialism, racism, all the various forms of oppression. And this is a problem according to the right-wing view, because they say that if people blame their problems on these outside forces, that will prevent them from taking responsibility.
This is a hierarchy of victim. This is nonsense. What does do is pretty popular on campuses because it removes the requirement for you to make good decisions with your life. If you fail, if you suck at life, you don't blame you. You blame everybody else. It's just super convenient.
Seems like they don't believe that leftists focus on justice because we care about people who are wanting to improve their lives. They just think we like excuses.
I think being a good human being means essentially taking responsibility for your actions. It's much easier to perceive yourself as a victim. It gets you easy out. Things are bad in your life, well, just blame somebody else. You're not succeeding, somebody knows succeeding, must be due to some societal obstacle.
So never blame societal obstacles. Always blame the individual. Sounds harsh, but let's hear a gentler version of the same idea from another right-wing spokesperson by the name of Stefan Molyneux.
Trash millionaire rage against Trump, fake anger, wider than
Ben Shapiro's a fucking idiot. Feel free to continue watching this video to find out why. Or, you know, look up H-Bomber Guy. He does a good job also.
It's harsh, but let's hear a gentler version of the same idea from another right-wing spokesperson by the name of Stefan Molyneux.
trash millionaire rage against Trump, fake anger, wider than my skinny rope.
Whoa, wrong clip.
The question is black community suffering from white racism or problems with character, problems with morality? And, I've been hammering on this topic worldwide, for human rights as a whole, that we really need to stop looking at our behaviors, not at what we call our prejudices. We need to stop looking at our actions, not at all the imagined slights that we out there in the world like mosquitoes buzzing around us and crippling us, because we don't have control over what other people think. We only have fundamental control over what we do, and the degree to which we can improve our actions is the degree to which we can be a powerful force in the world.
So basically, oppression, prejudice, your boss, your landlord, the housing market, the job market, bad schools, police brutality, impoverished neighborhoods, all those
imagined slights that we out there in the world like mosquitoes.
Don't think about that shit, because you cannot control it. Focus on your own actions, because that's what you can control. That's where you have power. What before sounded very harsh and judgmental, now sounds like empowerment, which is attractive.
We can be a powerful force in the world.
It's all on you. If you have responsibility, that means you have the power. Well, that sounds nice. It sounds motivating. And it's part of the reason why so many people are fans of that right-wing liberal, Jordan Peterson, because he gives motivational speeches like this.
Get your bloody act together. I'm on your side. It's not because I want to destroy you or demean you or push you down the garden hierarchy, but because I want the best in you to emerge. So you need standards. It's like, what are you doing wasting your life? There's way more than that to you. Get your act together and bring it out. Get your act together. Take responsibility for your life. Take control. You have the power. You can be great. Thanks, lots of that. In this worldview, the right wing is about empowerment, the power of the individual. Doesn't the right wing make people pumped up and ready to take on the world? It's like smoking cocaine. I am a golden god! I am a golden god!
But much like cocaine, right-wing philosophy has some seriously fucked up side effects. Cuts, taxes, all the taxes. The market must be free. I mean, socialism is dictatorship. Socialism is slavery. You want to be a slave?
I'm on drugs!
Case in point, the 2012 Republican Party presidential debate. The debate moderator describes a scenario of a healthy 30-year-old man who has no health insurance because he thinks he's too healthy to need it. But then something terrible happens and he falls into a coma. The debate moderator asks candidate Ron Paul who should pay for this man's medical treatment.
Who's going to pay for it if he goes into a coma? What he should do is whatever he wants to do, it's a responsibility for himself. And my advice to him would have a negative medical policy, but not because he doesn't have it, and he needs intensive care for 6 months. Who pays? That's what freedom is all about, taking your own risks. This whole idea that you have to prepare and take care of everybody. But honestly, are you saying society should just let him die? No.
You heard it. A few people in the audience cheering for a man to be left to die because he wasn't responsible enough to have health insurance. That's one of the problems with radical responsibility. It creates an attitude of, well, if people are in a rough spot, even a life or death rough spot, it's their own damn fault, so fuck them.
Society should just let him die? No.
This fucking horrifying one attitude can make conservatives seem like heartless monsters, and that can be true, but
Balance in all things. You are responsible for your actions, but your actions are not responsible for the universe. It's so dangerously prideful to assume that you could have complete control over your life. That is a ridiculous level of pride.
But I think most of them are just flawed human beings like the rest of us, trying not to be terrified in this terrifying world. It's like, yeah, I'm in control of my life. The left keeps talking about these scary forces like capitalism and depression and all this shit that's gonna make me not in control of my life. And I don't want to believe in that shit, man. That's scary. It sounds like bad monsters coming to get me. And I don't want to believe in bad monsters. I want to believe I'm strong and capable and I've got a big sword to fight off the dragons. And in fact, those dragons aren't even real. Just, you know what?
She talks about dragons and you talk about leeches. You don't even know what leeches do for their environment. Have you researched leeches? Do you know what benefits leeches have within the ecosystem they exist? Of course you don't. You just use that word in ignorance and hope that people will think it a demon. Leech equals demon equals dragon. You're so afraid of leeches. What's wrong with you?
Control of my life. I'm okay, everything's fine, okay? I've got this, I believe in myself. They're just so desperate for a sense of empowerment, you know? And they embrace radical responsibility because it gives them an illusion of empowerment. It's like with the cocaine, you know, it's like, ooh, I'm high now, and my belief, my empowerment, like, ooh, fuck, there's a bad side effect, I'm that cocaine, and that is like, you know, you swallow that pill, and that works, now you know, okay, here's a bad side effect for that illusion of empowerment. You cannot have sympathy for those facing social injustice. You can't do anything but blame individuals for their troubles. Because if you let yourself see anyone as anything less than totally responsible, that would shatter your own illusion of being empowered. And that's fucking scary. This makes radical responsibility quite harmful. For many people, this philosophy is the root of their aversion to any sort of policy that helps the poor, helps those in need. Sounds pretty bad, right? Well, hang on, because there's more where that came from. If you believe in radical responsibility, you won't blame social injustice or the nature of capitalism for why someone's at the bottom of society. That's victimhood thinking. But then how do you explain why someone's at the bottom? If it's not due to some social injustice or failing society, then it must be their own failing and their own fault. And so you think to yourself, maybe they're lazy or weak or stupid. Maybe they make bad choices. Whatever the case, they've earned their place at the bottom. Now, this can get pretty awkward when there are certain groups who are disproportionately at the bottom, or have high rates of being imprisoned, or low levels of education, and so on. Because then you move from thinking individuals earn their place at the bottom to thinking that racial groups earn their place at the bottom. And you don't want to think that. That's a bad road to go down. I do not recommend it. If you think a racial group earned their place at the bottom, how do you explain that to yourself? Maybe you think people in that group are more likely to make bad choices. But then how do you explain why they're more likely to make bad choices? Is it because they're affected by racism, poverty, socioeconomic conditions, of real history? No, it can't be. Those are excuses. But if it's not that, then what else can it be? Do you just think that they're lazy, weak, stupid? You've rejected every other explanation, so it seems like the only thing left for you to think is that it's genetic. And you don't want to think that. That's a bad road to go down. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that being a conservative makes you a racist. I'm saying that conservative right-wing views, they can be like a gateway drug to racism. Some really extreme racism. And that gateway drug is the philosophy of radical responsibility. So, a rejection of social policies like welfare and universal healthcare that help people in need, and a risk of racism. These are the side effects of radical responsibility. That all sounds pretty harmful, but if you take a right-wing view, radical responsibility is actually meant to protect against harm, and that harm comes from the left. In the words of Stefan Molyneux, damn it, wrong clip again.
Trying to do math, I'm shouting in your ear, random numbers and farting your beer.
Well, that ain't it either. Here we go.
One of the greatest ways to see if people have hatred and contempt for community is the degree to which they generate excuses for that community. Like if you hand over these prefabricated excuses for underperformance in good parenting, for underperformance economically, on pursuit of education, or whatever it is, if you hand people these sort of prefabricated excuses, it's hauling them in so many ways.
So in this view, when the left says, hey, the working class is screwed over by capitalism, hey, people of color are screwed over by racism, this just makes things worse because we're giving people excuses for failure, making them see themselves as powerless victims. And when you feel powerless, that crushes your hope, crushes your will to work hard for success, makes you want to give up and not even try. Right-wingers see radical responsibility as saving people from this fate. Well, I guess I don't have to kill myself or anything. I'll just have a regular drink. That'll be better. Live to fight for a better world. I just realized that I probably shouldn't drink from a glass that has bleach residue in it. Oh my god, am I gonna die? Am I okay? Like, no, I mean, seriously, like, no, I'm okay. So, I'm leftist, so maybe you've forgotten by now, but I think there is a degree of truth to this radical responsibility thing. I just think that it's too, radical. Yeah, I get it. We don't want to make people feel powerless. Where there is no power, there is no hope. Where there is no hope, there is no responsibility. And where there is no responsibility, bad things happen. This focus on personal responsibility wouldn't be so bad if all they were saying was, hey, social justice, that's outside your individual control, so focus on what you can control, on trying your best and try to make the most of your life. And sometimes it seems like they're saying that, but then later they always take it so much further. No, oppression doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Barriers to escaping poverty don't exist. Anyone can make it if they try and are a total moron.
The idea that America is a terrible, racist, sexist, bigoted, homophobic place that seeks to stop you from pursuing your dreams is utter and complete nonsense. It's also not true, by the way, America's a place where nobody can change your circumstance. America's a place where everybody can change their circumstance.
Cool story, bro. Look, I get it. You don't want to make people feel discouraged, but don't lie to them. Don't sell them a fantasy. Social injustice is real. Oppression is real. The barriers to escaping poverty are real. Denying that is denying reality. There's a duality to radical responsibility. On the one side, there's a desire to inspire, to make people believe in themselves, to give them the will to try, to help them succeed. And that's beautiful. But on the other side is this contempt for anyone who doesn't succeed. This not really hatred, but this looking down on them, and an indifference to their suffering, a willingness to let them suffer or even die, and then say it's their own damn faults. And that is fucking ugly. But let's focus on the beautiful side of radical responsibility, that co-high. Because in many cases, even that beautiful side can be ugly. It can backfire and do the opposite of what it intends. Imagine believing that you and you alone are responsible for your success or failure. If your life is leaning more towards failure, your opinion of yourself is going to be pretty low. You're going to feel inferior, like you just don't have what it takes. You feel powerless, not because of capitalism or oppression or being born into poverty, but because you suck. You inherently suck. Stupid, weak, lazy, pathetic, fucking loser. I'm a fucking loser. I'll always be a loser. There's nothing I can do, so why try? Why try? Now, I'm not saying this will be the case for everyone, and clearly it's not, but it does happen. Your self-esteem will be kicked into the toilet, and if you feel that way, you're going to lose your will to try. And if you suck that bad, then why bother? So, what's the solution? Radical responsibility can lead to paralysis, but so can the view that forces of oppression outside your control make you utterly helpless. In my opinion, we need a balanced approach. We don't want to go to either extreme. Oh, shit. Does that mean I'm a centrist? Sometimes we need to kick ourselves in the ass and say, hey, stop making excuses. You've got to try hard. But sometimes you need to be compassionate with yourself and be like, those excuses are legitimate. Those obstacles are real. It's not your fault. You're not a loser. You're not weak. You're just human. Life is unfair, and no, that's not okay. You deserve better. You watching this, you deserve better. You really, really do. Combine this together and you get something like, yes, you're facing some big, unfair obstacles, but that's no excuse to give up. You're not powerless. So fucking try hard and do the best you can. Don't get in, Tiger. I should be a motivational speaker. I voted Jordan Peterson, but is this the proper solution? I mean, sure, it gets people to fight to overcome life's unfair obstacles, and that's good, but it doesn't do a damn thing to make those unfair obstacles go away. Many of the problems we face in life have no individual solution. As individuals, we're not powerless, but we are relatively weak. Our willpower can only be achieved when we come together. Workers have joined together and used their collective power to improve their lives by winning things like the 8-hour workday, paid sick leave, and paid vacations. African Americans and their allies joined together to win civil rights. Enslaved people in Haiti joined together and fought a revolution that ended slavery. Individual responsibility is not enough. We need to take collective responsibility to make things better for everyone. In my opinion, this will require getting rid of capitalism. The borrow metaphor, capitalism is like a great big wheel crushing both of us on the ground, which is why I'm going to in the future be making a bunch of videos about capitalism. So if you're into that, subscribe to this channel.
Great take. You did it. Nailed it.
Moving. Single mother, working 2 jobs with no health benefits, overwhelmed by student debt. Government officials. Oh, thank God, I could use some help. Sorry, sweetie, that sounds like a you problem. Get to it. Those bootstraps will pull themselves up. Hey y'all, welcome back. We all find ourselves in dire straits at some point. Those are emotionally draining and vulnerable times for any person. And as anyone who's ever consoled a friend will tell you, the least productive and cruelest thing you could do is tell the person that their strife is their fault. Sadly, most government officials and political pundits in the US do exactly that. I call these folks choice reductionists, and although I'm making up this word, know that these people are very real. They exist everywhere in politics, from talking heads to senators, and they're on both sides of the aisle. In this video, I intend to identify and dismantle this destructive mindset. I'm going to define this new word line, share examples of its impact, and point out how it's an unproductive and harmful ideology. Without further ado, let's go. Part 1. What is this nonsense word you're using? I first want to clarify the new term in this video, choice reductionists. Let's unpack the confusing word first. In political terms, reductionism is the act of reducing the problem with many causes to one singular cause. Well, finally, definitions are all well and good, but what does one of these people actually look like? And so that let's use some pre-existing examples of other reductionists. Class reductionists will look at wealth inequality within the population and say that it is exclusively caused by issues of class, aka issues of wealth distribution, exploitation, and so on. What if the population the class reductionist observes is that of an impoverished Native American reservation? Well, well-rounded analysis would argue that issues of class are applied and would add that racist policies worsen each group's material conditions. This is where class reductionists disagree. Class reductionists either fail to consider race, gender, or sexuality, or outright refute their relevance, which is a problem because things like the history of racism are undeniable facts. All branches of reductionism are limiting not because they don't offer valid analysis, because there are numerous intersecting issues at play with any topic. If we ignore some of those intersecting issues, then we wouldn't be able to really address the problem at hand. So when I say choice reductionism, I'm adding a new branch to the mix. Someone who reduces every problem to a matter of choice. And like other forms of reductionism, there's a spectrum of application. Using the example of impoverished reservations again, an absolute choice reductionist would say that the only reason Native Americans face the financial and emotional strife they do is because at some point they made bad choices, and the only way to get themselves out is to make good choices. Of course, completely ignoring the history of forced removal and cultural genocide committed by the United States and Canada. Mild choice reductionists might acknowledge that racism is part of what puts Native Americans at a disadvantage, but also posits that the best or only way to get out of trouble is through a series of good personal choices. In summation, choice reductionists will look at a problem and assert that choices are caused, as well as the only or best way to save oneself. As I said at the top, I think this is a dangerous way to approach political topics. So let's get into why. Part 2. The worst kind of reductionism. A moment ago, I listed several already recognized types of reductionism. Though I disagree with all of them in their most extreme forms, they at least have a systemic critique to bring to the table. Other reductionists disagree on which systems are in place and which systems do the most harm. They all recognize that there are systems in place, whether in legal form or implicit in our culture, that screw people over. Choice reductionists, though, are the worst kind of reductionists, specifically because they ignore or refute the role systems play in disadvantaging communities. I want to make my point crystal clear here in case any skeptics try to misrepresent it. Personal choice and personal responsibility are important parts of life for any adult. If I mess up at my job or don't fulfill promises I made to friends and family, it's important for me to take ownership of those mistakes. And by owning up to them, I'm able to grow moving forward. And it's cool to be able to personally choose my occupation, not forced to be a carpenter or some such just because my dad and his grandfather were. That's neat. My qualm isn't with the concept of personal choice, but with the guiding ideologies of choice reductionists who seem incapable of or opposed to explaining the phenomena as a predictable result of a given set of circumstances, and therefore can only respond to a recurring systemic issue by yelling at the people impacted by that system, saying, just make better choices, dummy. They are not only wrong, but by ignoring systemic critiques, they offer no structural help to disadvantaged people. To explain, let's look at an example from one of the worst offenders of choice reductionism, Ben Shapiro. If you had to work more than one job to have a roof over your head, if you punishment taking a job is not paying enough. That'd be a you problem. In this clip, Ben was talking about a chunk of US citizens who work multiple jobs. He argues that these folks nearly blame themselves for needing 2 jobs, but let's ask, why might someone need a second job? Oh, let me count the ways. Due to regulations regarding benefits for full-time employees, a lot of minimum wage jobs will cap workers' hours below full-time at like 25 or 30 hours, so the companies don't have to provide benefits. And since the price of existing in most cities requires at or above full-time income, some folks need a second job to make ends meet. And why do people need so many hours of work to get by? Well, wages have stagnated in the US since the 70s. Meanwhile, cost of living has skyrocketed, so a lot more hours are needed to get by. And why might someone need minimum wage instead of seeking out a better paying job? Well, it could be that you wanted to pursue a good career, but your family didn't have money to send you to college. And that you would have felt too intimidating. It could also be that America lost a lot of good jobs in trade deals orchestrated by rich folks so they could save money. Or it could be that you trained for a manufacturing job, but technological advances rendered your job irrelevant. And now the only job you qualify for are minimum wage gigs. But I hope it's clear that there's a lot of reasons people might get stuck in the minimum wage sphere and therefore need a second job. Let's go back to Ben. He doesn't acknowledge any of the points I just listed as to why somebody might need a second job, some of which he agrees exist.
The United States has been reducing approximately the same amount of steel since 1983. It's just that only 25% of the number of employees are required to produce that amount of steel because technology was taking away the jobs.
Though Ben acknowledges the jobs lost to technology in this conversation, in other contexts, like when talking about folks' financial woes, for example, Ben ignores any systemic explanation and opts instead say that it's the fault of the worker. They should have refused those jobs and waited for better ones. And sure, people like Ben, born into wealth and who suppose low point to making $50,000 a year, are able to turn down work that doesn't pay what they like. Many Americans don't have that choice. If you have bills, which is everyone, you have limited economic safety nets, which is most people, you cannot refuse work to wait for a better opportunity. By having essential things like housing and food not guaranteed, you have to be working to survive. Ben exposes himself as unwilling to accept someone needing more than one job might be in that position for some reason outside of themselves. And why is this a problem, you might ask? Part 2.1. That's not how the world works. We can debate what systems exist and how prevalent those systems are until the cows come home to roost. We're doing a disservice to disadvantaged folks if we act like no systems of disadvantage exist and instead tell them it's all their fault. That line of thinking offers no tangible help. Let's go back to the reasons I used earlier. So many jobs in your area don't offer enough hours to live off of. What good does Ben shaming do you? If you went to trade school for manufacturing but lost your job to technological advances, what good does Ben shaming do? Nothing. It provides you no help. Bringing manufacturing back to the US, regulating the gig economy more strictly, or pro-union legislation might help folks no longer need 2 jobs to survive. But telling folks it's purely a personal problem gets in the way of improving lives like theirs on a large scale because it either obfuscates the conversation to the point where systemic critiques are non-existent or irrelevant, or offers solutions that are entirely reactive instead of proactive. Even if Ben's advice leads some people to make decisions that improve their lives, it does nothing to change the circumstances that lead folks down that path in life. In other words, even if I get my life together based on Ben's advice and no longer need so many jobs, Ben's advice doesn't lower the number of people that in a few years will be in my exact same position. They'll still be under similar conditions, needing to pay similarly expensive bills and all that. There were slowly shrunk job markets, a stressful gig economy, and a lack of good paying jobs. Also, it's important to note that some of the solutions provided to get oneself out of a bad financial situation require the creation of more minimum wage jobs. What are the employees I've just created the need for by opening my business supposed to do about their financial woes? Just open their own business? Then they'll need more minimum wage workers, and still the problem isn't fixed. The economy will always need labor on the lower skill tiers, so you can't just tell every single person who's financially struggling to subvert the systemic issue by opening their own business or some personal solution like that, because those issues fundamentally do not address the systemic issues at hand. The issue being that minimum wage workers are a necessary cog in our economy, yet often don't make enough money to survive in the U.S. because of lethargic minimum wage laws. So in reality, the solutions often provided by choice reductionists end up creating cyclical problems instead of fixing the issues at hand. So this reactive approach isn't helpful on a long timeline or a broad enough scale. It's only helpful in individual cases. Now, bends conservative goes beyond partisan politics. You can have a conservative or liberal or leftist approach you like. If you boil everything down.
Do every one of y'all people that are watching my stream right now have a house spouse? You have enough free time outside of your job to do all of your housework. You and your spouse work, and you still get all your housework done. You don't pay someone to do that. You don't expend finances on something that y'all should have the free time to do yourself.
Down after choice and say that people are only struggling because they made bad choices, you're leaving them in the dust by ignoring any policies that would actually help folks out. Part 3. Some other examples. Edge is far from the only place we see choice reductionism wreaking havoc. I'll provide a few more examples before we get to the conclusion, and we'll start with some liberally leaning ones. I assume social distancing guidelines were suggested, people started ignoring them. The worst case we saw was these college students in Florida.
I get corona. At the end of the day, I'm not going to stop the party.
Let's be clear, these guys suck. On Twitter, I saw accusations of selfishness being levied at other populations. These graphics are showing when the average travel in counties dip below 2 miles a day. It's clear at first glance which regions belongs to limit travel. And there were snarky comments and Twitter threads saying, the map shows just how stupid and selfish people in the South are. The tweets like find work from celebrities, the fact that it was regular people is important, because it shows that average folks were quick to engage in a harmful form of choice reductionism. People were quick to point out that the graphic lines up well with a map of food deserts, which is where people have to travel long distances to find a quality supermarket, aka a reality of life in the rural South that cannot be avoided. Also, it's important to note that a lot of governors in the region took forever to take the virus seriously. And one final point, I can't remember who said this, but somebody on Twitter made the apt point that too many folks view the South as racist white Republican region, which somewhat directly leads folks, as we just saw, to say that the strife experienced in the South is some form of karmic justice. But that assessment
People think that a food swamp or a food desert means that you can't make it to a Kroger or whatever, but I have Krogers and I have Cash Savers within range of walking for even my shitty knees. And the meat prices are rising. I have very restrictive dietary needs, which means that I cannot eat high amounts of fiber, and I need a lot of white meat. And now meat prices are rising. I'm just supposed to figure that out. I'm gonna go illegally hunt robins in the fucking park or something to feed myself. That's the bootstrap I have to pick up. What?
assessment ignores the fact that there are millions of people of color in the South, as well as white people who are actively racist, fighting the good fight, who by and large vote blue, but whose voice is limited through gerrymandering and voter suppression.
But Cash Saver and Kroger Foods have a bunch of additives. They have onions added to it. There's all of the cheapest things I can buy have wheat gluten added to it. I can't eat that. I will die. I will start bleeding in my guts and bleed internally to death. And I'm just supposed to pick myself up by the bootstraps of the chickens that don't exist in my life.
And who are, by the way, struggling under the same conditions you just wrote off as karmic justice. And I mean the general, you, not you specifically, listener. So to boil the average daily travel down to Southerners are choosing to go out is ignoring the difficult realities of life for rural Southerners. And once again, this form of choice reductionism doesn't advocate to alter the function of life for rural Southerners, but instead just blames people for the circumstances they're placed into. Entirely unhelpful. Pretty cringe if you ask me. I want to use this next example as a thought experiment of how policymaking could have been worsened by a choice reductionist approach as we look at America's opioid epidemic. On one hand, it's the result of Purdue Pharma downplaying the addictive risk of OxyContin so they can sell more product, which the company managed to rake in tens of billions off of while overdosing on their addictive drugs that led to the death of about 500,000 U.S. citizens. And secondly, due to the industrialization of large swaths of the Midwest, a lot of former mining or factory towns have become hotspots for black market trade opioids, bringing with it even more death via violent crime due to unsafe needles, the spread of STDs. It's not only an epidemic of addiction, but one that creates lucrative black markets in towns without many other financial options. Thankfully, we seem to be responding to the epidemic by addressing the root of the cause, as in holding pharmaceutical executives accountable, providing clinics and halfway houses to help people get off it, and their wishes to bring the jobs back to town learners vulnerable to black markets. But let's imagine for a second that we approach the problem like a choice reductionist would. How would that change policy? Given the examples we looked at so far, it would mean we do absolutely nothing. We wouldn't sue the executives involved, we wouldn't provide any more clinics to help, and we would dismiss the claim that something in the job market impacted this. The real solution, as choice reductionists would say, is that addicts need to simply stop being addicted to opioids. Those lazy addicts need to just get their life together and make better choices. What are they doing, just sitting around waiting for a handout? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, lazy bum. And I hope that's as painful to hear as it was for me to say. But in the case of the opioid epidemic, I hope it's clear to even my biggest skeptics out there that addressing a systemic issue like this through the lens of just make better personal choices doesn't lead to the best outcomes. In fact, would actively stall attempts to make things better. Next up, some public schools in the U.S. started to provide free meals to students, which I think is neat, but apparently, unbeknownst to me, is actually communism.
We're giving them free food, free emotional support. That's dangerous. That's communism when you think about it.
While Rebecca may represent a fringe approach, plenty of people on the right want nothing to do with publicly funded lunches. By the way, great to have you back then. Now listen, I'm all for policies that can lead to the strengthening of the bond between parent and child. But people
Yeah, I'm a picky eater. I get ulcers. I will die if I eat too many carrots. Would you say that same shit about someone with a fucking peanut allergy? Fuck you.
like Ben act like parents who struggle to feed their kids are choosing that lifestyle. According to a Federal Reserve study, 39% of adults would struggle to manage a $400 surprise expense. For a lot of reasons we discussed earlier, like lethargic minimum wage laws and bad job markets, money is clearly hard to come by. And if $400 isn't readily at their disposal, how would they have $400 to $600 per child per year ready for lunches? But you see, any data I pull will be irrelevant because people making these arguments don't care. They don't see financial struggles as valid. Ben in particular goes on to vilify people in financial ruin.
If you're a fully capable adult, you're not taking care of your child, you have committed the greatest sin that you can commit on this earth.
Ben is no longer just ignoring systems that hold people back. He's saying that the victims of those systems have committed a sin. Going on to suggest that kids be taken out of households that can't afford lunches. First off, when folks house a kid from the foster care system, they usually get a stipend. So why can't we just invest that money in the family you're so ready to pull the kid away from, Ben? Also, why in the world is putting the kid in the foster care system preferable to just giving them lunch? That just makes no fucking sense. And certainly not having means to meet Penn Shapiro's standards caring for a child is often not a choice. People don't choose to have medical premiums and other bills cost so much, or to be living paycheck to paycheck. And even a parent could cut everything out of their lives to provide food. It's not a choice parents should have to make. Charles Booker, at time of recording, a member of the Kentucky state legislature, has in the past rationed insulin to feed his family. While some people might choose to focus on what a brave and wonderful dad he's proven to be, my immediate thought when I read this was, we don't have to live like this. Ben says he'd rather starve before his kids go hungry, but he acts like that's the only alternative. You know, Ben, we can help folks so they don't have to starve themselves. It's a thing we have the capacity to do. But by failing to acknowledge systems in place that keep parents from being able to feed their kids, Ben fails to advocate for any policy that would help these families remain happy and whole. Instead, taking the side of splitting them up and undoubtedly causing misery. Which I guess makes sense if you, like Ben Shapiro, just fucking hate poor people. I want to finish off this section with a silly example focusing on the video game industry. As gaming became more mainstream in the early 2000s, the industry started to lean towards profitability. This led to our current state of gaming affairs, where single-player games offering one playthrough less profitable than multiplayer games with microtransactions, because those bring more money than a single purchase and make those stockholders nice and happy. We saw this in action when EA shut down Visceral Studios, which had been making a number of quality single-player experiences, or to speak about how to approach the next Star Wars game. EA cited fundamental shifts in the marketplace, which while they would consume means they wanted to microtransaction the shit out of it. When Visceral got closed, there was an uproar in gaming circles. When a lot of voices in the community, any arcade, and comic in response. Character Tycho, stand-up source for the author, said of an EA executive,
Literally the only thing I know about you is that you destroy things. Jobs aren't. I mean, where should I even start? What you did is bad for games, bad for gamers, and trying to frame it as anything other than cowardice is offensive.
Man's clearly upset. Let's unpack where he places blame. He focuses his ire on the guy delivering the message, not the board of directors or shareholders who agreed to or maybe even pitched this decision. He continues to frame the issue like this, constantly using the word you instead of saying use guys. He seems to believe that the only issue here is one man's cowardly, evil decision making. The problem with this line of choice reduction is that he's completely sidelined a productive conversation about the video game industry. If we put two and two together, we can see that companies favoring shareholders is the natural conclusion to art and profit-driven markets. It caters to profitability often at the expense of the consumer. But the guy at Penny Arcade seems to only understand the issue as this executive being an art killer. His solution, I imagine, would be to get the bad executive fired. Then everything will be fine. But that won't actually change anything. Another executive will just fill his spot and continue to twist hands into these money-making autolists. I only see the conflict as one man's choice and not the result of a great industry. Penny Arcade fails to approach the topic he's passionate about in a way that could ever lead to meaningful change. Part 4. Conclusion. If I were to leave my viewers with one takeaway, it wouldn't be to encourage people to divorce themselves from personal choices. It's important to take your life into your own hands and make choices that benefit your well-being. Ask that person. Now quit that bad habit of yours. It takes steps to improve your standard of living. But don't let the importance of personal choice blind you from recognizing that choice isn't always the antidote. There are complex systems impacting every aspect of our daily lives, and overcoming them is harder than just making different choices. And understand that the worst way to approach a political issue is by saying that folks just need to make better choices or get good, as my game person in the audience would say. If you made it to the end of the video and still believe that telling people to make better choices is the best way to fix things, then I'll just let the jump man set you straight.
Stop it. Get some help.
Anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to toss me one of the likes, subscribe down below, and click the little bell so you can know the exact nanosecond I release my next video. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter because I have thoughts sometimes. Thanks, y'all, and I'll see you next time.
I feel like these 3 videos are the most important in this series that I'm streaming right now. I call it the Bootstraps Fallacy, Black Cat calls it radical responsibility, Piley Ben calls it choice reductionism, and Second Thought calls it hyper-individualism. And all of these ways of referring to it make a lot of sense. And I'm going to play this third one now.
When engaging with history, it's easy to... This episode is brought to you by...
We want every American to know the dignity of a hard day's work. We can lift our citizens from welfare to work, from dependence to independence. This is hard work you, where they really do work really hard. They love our country, they love faith, they love values, and they love working hard.
It's indicative of a problem in our culture where we started to sideline this notion of personal responsibility. Yes. And personal responsibility as a foundation of our culture. It's important because it leads to empowerment. It gives us the agency to control our own destiny.
If a young person believes that the global warming problem on the climate is something that needs to be tackled quickly, and they can't wait until they grow up and become prime ministers to do it, do you think collective responsibility overrides individual responsibility in a huge issue like that?
No.
Have you ever been told to pull yourself up by your bootstraps? Ever heard someone chastise the poor for making bad decisions or praise the rich for making good ones? How many times have you heard someone assert that the U.S. is the best country on earth because of our individual freedom? These are all part of the same phenomenon. And while present in some cultures outside the U.S., the mindset is particularly intense here. In this episode, we're going to take a brief look at individualism and consider why it's a deeply flawed worldview. Individualism is in the air we breathe. We watch movies about individual heroes saving the day. We're taught that history is made by individual great men, and we read think pieces about how individuals in poverty make good or bad choices. Because this ideology is so universally accepted, it has earned the label of common sense. Even suggesting that individuals may not be primarily, much less entirely responsible for their circumstances is cause for mockery and dismissal. To blame structures or systems or society is seen as childish weakness, as an attempt to shield yourself or others from accountability. The trouble is that individualism is an utterly absurd way of explaining the world. In 2018, a group of Harvard researchers analyzed data from the U.S. Census and attempted to find correlations between a person's life story and their current income. They discovered that there was such a strong connection between the place someone is born and their future income that they put together a map called the Opportunity Atlas, which shows the median incomes of people born in each zip code and even predicts what those incomes will be in the future. In 2015, another study found a similar link between your future income and your parent wealth. The report stated the wage gap for people from different backgrounds is significant. The expected income of people raised in well-off families in the 90th percentile, that is, the top 90% of the national median household income, is about 200% larger than the expected income of children raised in poor families in the 10th percentile, and about 75% larger than that of children raised in middle-class families in the 50th percentile. What's more, people raised in middle-class families will earn close to double what children from lower-income families earn in adulthood. Put simply, by combining these studies, sociologists are able to predict your lifetime income based on the zip code you were born in and how much money your parents make. Not based on how hardworking you are, not based on your personal qualities or capitalist instincts. No, the circumstances of your birth are the single largest predictors of your financial success. If everyone truly were entirely or even mostly in control of their destiny, if the myth of individualism were true, how could that be possible? The ridiculousness of the equal opportunity and individual success story becomes even clearer when we look at the supposedly self-made people that individualists point to as proof. Elon Musk, supposedly an Iron Man-style brain genius, enjoyed family wealth from apartheid businesses, which he has translated into 2 companies which abuse government subsidies and profit from wasteful non-solutions to climate change. Bill Gates, the founding father of self-made tech moguls, was one of the first students in America to have his own computers and had direct connections to tech corporations through his father. But those are just modern examples. If you'd like a truly telling example, a 2016 study found that between the years 1427 and 2016, Florence, Italy has been ruled by the same families. That is a period of 600 years, at least 12 generations, in which the plague, the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, 2 world wars, the creation of capitalism, and modern technology itself has failed to disrupt Florence's structures of wealth and power. If the story of individual hard work determining success, or the inverse story of laziness causing failure, were true, surely one child in those 12 generations of Florentine elites would have been born without the magical hard work juice which we are told determines success. The notion of equal opportunity we are constantly being sold on is incompatible with any heritable family wealth, much less 600 years of it. And what about bigotry? How can we claim that anyone has enough power over their life path to punish them for failure when we know for a fact that racism, sexism, and discrimination wildly change your opportunities in life? Being a woman drastically affects your likely type of future employment, decreases your future income, and determines whether you spend years of your life doing domestic work, both paid and unpaid. Black Americans are born with roughly 8 times less family wealth, are underrepresented in elections, even after votes are counted, and are far more likely to face both hiring and workplace discrimination compared to white Americans. Race and employment are deeply linked. In 2019, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics found that Hispanic Americans are nearly twice as likely to work service, construction, or industrial jobs as their white peers, and therefore twice as likely to face health problems that kind of employment causes. Health outcomes, including life expectancy and future mental health issues, are connected to your race, your gender identity, and the zip code you were born in. Black communities, as one example, are far more likely to be subjected to toxic lead paint and unclear water, both of which can cause lifelong illnesses. Transgender people are much more likely to face depression as a result of being unable to transition or because of the bigotry they face from some corners of society. Both groups are more likely to be murdered outright, often by the police, and far less likely to have those murders solved. Conservatives and liberals alike have been repeating for generations that individuals, not structures, are to blame for human suffering. Reagan proclaimed that government is the problem, never the solution. Thatcher asserted that there is no such thing as society. But
storybook protagonist centered tales we tell are real, how can we possibly explain the mountain of statistically significant links between race, poverty, gender, and birth location to future health, wealth, and happiness? How can we explain why some countries, namely the ones with more socialist policies, have such low rates of poverty and homelessness, while others hop from crisis to crisis every year? Could it be coincidence, sheer chance, or, as argued by the likes of Ben Shapiro, pseudoscientific debunked bigotry? The most basic facts of modern life utterly contradict anti-systemic individualist thinking. To highlight that contradiction, let's try to explain these facts with individualist logic. Women and non-white people, by sheer coincidence, all individually chose to be paid less for more demanding jobs. Also by coincidence, they chose to work those jobs and be paid less than women and non-white people in other similarly developed countries. Simultaneously, people born in the same zip code all just happen to make choices that led to similar incomes, similar lifespans, and similar rates of disease. Those born to poor families chose, with little or no outside influence, to work lower paying jobs. The rich also chose of their own accord and without significant systemic advantages to work higher paying jobs. The huge differences in the inequalities between America and other wealthy nations is also a coincidence caused by Americans choosing to be lazier. Rather than consider that centuries of enslavement and systemic racism has sabotaged the quality of life for black Americans, individualists insist that black individuals choose to live in poverty more frequently than non-black people. Rather than consider that society exists, individuals have created a web of absurdities and chosen to live there. They also insist that none of these absurdities are racist, sexist, or classist. We shouldn't temper our language here. Anyone who claims that individual choices rather than systems entirely determine how most people live should be dismissed outright. It's an embarrassing and absurd worldview, and even the tiniest bit of research should make that clear. I've left some links to further reading in the description. Like many aspects of American capitalism, individualism is a worldview created not to explain the world, but to control it. It's designed to fragment strong communities, turn workers against each other, and diminish the power of solidarity among the people. When you see yourself as the morally upright hero and everyone else as competition, you're turning your back on what it means to be human. There's plenty to go around, or at least there would be if it weren't all funneled straight to the top. To the people who manufactured the idea of individualism, make no mistake, this worldview does not benefit you. We all need to make an attempt at deprogramming ourselves, of casting off decades of toxic individualist propaganda, and rebuild the ideals of unity and solidarity. When engaging with history, it's easy to fall into the great man mindset, erroneously thinking that history is driven by a handful of superhuman individuals, but figures like Martin Luther King Jr., while certainly important and principled in their own rights, are always carried by mass movements. In MLK's case, he supported and was supported by his fellow black Americans fighting for equal rights. If you'd like to learn more about the civil rights movement, I highly recommend you check out King, a film record on Curiosity Stream. It's a great two-part documentary following MLK on his journey from regional activist to becoming the face of the civil rights movement. Curiosity Stream is an established streaming platform with a solid track record of caring about great educational content and the financial security of
Those are the three most important videos that I just watched. Those are the three formational videos of this list of videos. So everything now is just sort of bonus, and I'm probably going to disappear randomly because my family is about to be over and I don't want you guys to bother them. So, yeah.
educational content, and the
You just have to look at the fact Twitter is having to ask people. This video is brought to you by Google is free, or it's not my job to educate you in response to your question. In some circumstances, this is a pre-benign response. For example, if someone is asking about an easily verifiable fact, do you want the best supporting actor Oscar last year, or whether a pair of jeans is in stock in an online shop right now. But those kind of examples aren't what I want to talk about today. Instead, in this video, I want to talk about the way in which these phrases are used in discussions surrounding social issues and activism. Essentially, big topics like racism, misogyny, transphobia, homophobia, ableism, classism, and the ways they intersect with each other for interlinked issues like healthcare, climate change, or income inequality. To begin, I think it's important to talk about why people might respond this way in the first place. The volume of comments. Issues of social justice are things that materially affect people's lived experiences of the world. They can impact everything from people's safety and legal rights to opportunities and education. It's not a curiosity to be investigated or either new knowledge that they can emotionally distance themselves from. The idea of banning transgender athletes or experiencing racist microaggressions or the fear queer people have of holding hands with their partners in public.
I want to talk about this video specifically in the context of I was in a meme group on Facebook, and they were posting stuff about how they had just banned a bunch of people for questioning the protests in Hong Kong and the rest of the group's thoughts on the matter. I have now found out that what they were trying to express to me is what's called a color revolution, or I believe that's what it's called. But everyone was just showing me the most surface level examples of why I should hate this protest and why I should be against it. And they thought me a concern troll. And they thought because I had access to Google that I should already have this information. And so since I didn't have this information, I must be lying. I must have this information. It's so easy to find. Why don't I have it? And no one even told me to Google anything, but because this mindset has become so prevalent, people just think everyone should know everything and be able to find it. It took this information stumbling upon me for me to understand what problem that group had with me. An entire group of people did not have the capacity to tell me what mistake I was logically making. And so the moderators just kicked me the fuck out. And this fallacy, I think, is a big part of that. And it sort of ties into how we haven't been able to understand other people politically, I guess.
public might be a crazy thing you didn't even realise was a problem, but expressing that to someone who has to deal with this stuff constantly is not the cute, innocent moment of solidarity you might think it is. These questions are a reminder of marginalisation, that the things that a person lives with every day are another person's casual curiosity. If we consider the volume of comments and questions a marginalised person might get, particularly online or in a space where they are the sole person of identity, we can see how individual questions may seem fine from the asker's end, but might mean dozens of queries on the other side. Even one answer takes more time and energy than one question, and marginalised people are often asked to do that over and over again. The trend of treating marginalised people as community spokespeople simply for existing has recently been evident in the treatment of high-profile trans people in Britain. Often trans women like Gina Dawson or Sean Fay are asked to fill the role of activist, even when their actual jobs are things like acting or writing. They are constantly asked to publicly defend their own identity and humanity as guests on TV or radio interviews or in online spaces where the focus is on trans issues rather than their actual work. Even people who have signed up to the role of activist may find the volume of replies, comments, and questions unmanageable. Burnout amongst activists is not common, with many feeling like they constantly have to keep on. Because the internet is always there all of the time, they might have dozens, even hundreds of people reaching out to them in their replies and DMs, and that's on top of the other work they're doing for their cause. The content and tone of comments. I don't think it'll be any surprise to find out that sometimes people on the internet can be dicks. Questions about intimate parts of a trans person's body, or the private sex life of a lesbian, or a Muslim person's distressing encounters with law enforcement are common in online spaces. A comment that might feel to one person like a casual inquiry might well veer into potentially triggering conversations with the person that topic actually affects. To reply in a meaningful way might involve reading trauma or exploring difficult conceptual memories rather than just flashing out an equally casual tweet response. With this in mind, requests for people to seek answers elsewhere is pretty understandable. The intention of comments. Intention is often difficult to interpret online. It might not be easy to tell the difference between bad faith harassment and real genuine curiosity. This becomes more complex as you learn about trolling techniques like sea lining. To talk about bad faith engagement online, defined as a harassment tactic by which a participant in a debate or online discussion pesters the other participant with disingenuous questions under the guise of sincerity, hoping to erode the patience or goodwill of the target to the point where they appear unreasonable. Often sea lining involves asking for evidence for even basic claims. The idea being that if someone refuses to answer the demands of the person who is sea lining or shows any frustration or anger at the tactic, the person doing the sea lining can turn around and use this evidence for how unreasonable they are, even using it as proof against the entire marginalised community that they are a part of, saying things like, all I was doing was asking questions, why did they always react this way? The whole thing is very much linked to respectability politics. This idea that marginalised individuals' access to equality and respect is predicated on their ability to stay polite, good humoured, and to civilize in the face of anything thrown at them. Privileged communities can then place responsibility of their prejudiced beliefs or ignorant behaviours on the
So many people sea lining. That's another reason. That's another thing that people thought I was doing. I could have been wasting their time. So many people have done that before. And me asking legitimate questions seemed like that because it's so easy to memorize the legitimate questions and repeat them verbatim and just waste people's time. Fuck sea lining. Man, shit.
marginalised group for not being accommodating enough or doing the work for them. And it's not just a lack of time or energy that might lead to a Googlist-free comment. For some people, it's just not a priority to engage in that kind of education. In her book, Sit Outsider or Jailed Rights, Black and third world people are expected to educate white people as to our humanity. Women are expected to educate men, lesbians and gay men are expected to educate the heterosexual world. The oppressors maintain their position and evade their responsibility for their own actions. There is a constant drain of energy which might be better used in redefining ourselves and devising realistic scenarios for altering the present and constructing the future. This is a sentiment I've seen from a lot of people. Why am I wasting my time trying to educate people and get them on side when I could be working with people who are already on side and figure out where to go next? Intent versus impact. A lot of the time you'll hear people say intent doesn't matter, only impact does. Like it doesn't matter if you didn't mean to hurt someone if you did still hurt them. Your intention don't make that person less hurt. But I think that's probably an overly simplified way of looking at it. The gap between someone's impact and their intention is a great way of working out why that hurtful thing happened and how to stop it happening in the future. Consider a more material example. If someone steals all your grandmother's jewelry in a robbery, it might not help you emotionally or financially to know that they did it to pay for their family to eat. Their intention to use that money for survival doesn't change the negative impact it had on you. But by knowing the reasons behind action, we can start to see that often hurt is preventable. What would it take to feed the family to begin with? Similarly, you might ask, what would it take to ensure that people didn't enact microaggressions against their Asian colleagues at work, or ask two personal questions that they didn't realise were inappropriate to a trans acquaintance? As a society, we can start to ask what resources and changes need to be put in place to stop things that cause harm happening again, whether that's money, mental health support, education, community spaces, healthcare, or anything else. If we simply stop the idea that intent doesn't matter, then we potentially miss the opportunity. Impact over intention to me is only about the immediate impact of that statement or action. It's about acknowledging harm. But what comes after should absolutely take intent into account as a measure of how willing that person is to listen and how it can be prevented in the future, not just with that individual, but with other people thinking the same way or in similar circumstances. There's a spectrum of interaction with strangers online, from vitriolic hatred to unquestioning parasocial rapport. Between them, you have this massive confused friend who found herself in an unexpected part of the internet, or trolling teen who thinks that caring about things is bad, or a person who just doesn't know the right words to use to describe something that they would otherwise support wholeheartedly. You don't know which kind of stranger that interaction is going to be with, and it's almost never just one stranger. Arguably, it's the trolls and abusers who need the most help in changing understanding of the world and how they treat other people, changing their behaviour, which ultimately prevent the most harm overall. That idea has to coexist with the fact that marginalised people shouldn't be expected to bear the brunt of this work just because they happen to be marginalised person online. I understand the argument people make against spending airtime and articles encouraging people to sympathise with people who have escaped the alt-right or similar groups, but I think that understanding how these groups recruit people to begin with is vital to stopping it becoming something we just have to accept will always happen. I would argue that a key component of constructing a future that breaks away from the hardships and injustices of the present is very much education. If our goals are things like increasing awareness of systemic issues or making people aware of their privilege or readying them to become advocates for others, and these people come with maybe lack of knowledge but the best intentions, it's just Google it, advice that's going to actually do these things. Misinformation on Google. Google becomes synonymous with the act of finding information. We want to find something, we Google it. I think that the monopoly Google has on our concept of search engine has created this perception that it's a near perfect tool. But in reality, that's far from the case. Take Google's featured snippets, for example. You can almost certainly use them before. You type a question into Google, anything from weather in London to how many grams in a cup of flour, and a little box pops up at the top with a snippet from a website answering the question you have. No need to click on a link or visit another site. This is presumably the right answer you're looking for. Except that's not necessarily the case. This is a screenshot from a box video of this exact issue. Sometimes what they're searching seems to be accurate facts are anything but. These featured snippets are chosen for a combination of reasons, including page popularity, how directly they answer the question, how many words they use to answer the question, even whether the information is in a list format. Not necessarily anything about how accurate the information is. There are a long list of examples of searches that throw out false information. The particularly worrying element for me is how many of them are enforcing misinformed or prejudiced views. When searching for if a conspiracy theory is true, like if Barack Obama is signing a coup or to enact martial law in the States, the snippet would lead to a site confirming that he was. These snippets also form the basis of Google Home's answers when you ask a question out loud. A video circulating online in 2016 of a user asking are women evil was immediately answered like this.
Here's a summary from sharing the video. Every woman has some degree of prostitute in her. Every woman has a little evil in her. Women don't love men. They love what they can do for them. It is within reason to say women feel attraction, but they cannot love men.
There is, of course, plenty of accurate information and thoughtful first-hand testimony out there. It's just about finding it. But people asking these questions for the first time are probably the least likely to be able to figure out what is accurate and reliable, having little context for what the right source is. When you ask more complex questions, it's even more difficult to guarantee a good answer. These snippets and the rest of the search engine algorithm that determine the order of search rankings. It's not some omniscient robot overlord. It's a tool designed and maintained by human beings. And human beings are biased, flawed, and make mistakes. Not only that, but it's a piece of machine learning with foundations in advertising, capitalism, and profit. Frank Pasquale, a professor of law at the University of Maryland and a leading academic figure calling for the tech industry to be more open and transparent, explains there's enormous commercial bias. And when you look at the personnel, they are young, white, and perhaps Asian, but not black or Hispanic, and they are overwhelmingly men. The worldview of young, wealthy white men informs all these judgments. Now you could argue, well, in the case of some of these examples, like about whether Obama is planning a coup, there might not be adequate information against it because the question itself is so biased. Why would someone bother making a webpage saying Obama is not trying to launch a coup? Because it seems so ridiculous. Maybe you have to put in a biased question to get a biased answer. Well, firstly, this is still worrying. I'm going to talk more in the next section about the way in which this can trap people into downward spirals of misinformation. But just because someone types in a biased question doesn't mean we relegate them to the pit of lost causes. Like they were already searching for women are evil. Screw them. A lot of people will be googling ideas or phrases that they are starting to question that they have heard from their family life or peer groups, and that questioning should ideally be met with accurate, relevant, and reliable responses. But also, it turns out no, you actually don't have to put in a biased question to get a biased answer. Author on Google is doing it great by itself. Sophia Noble, author of a book specifically about the racism found in online search engines, talks about the difference in results when looking at the black victim versus the non-black perpetrator in the Trayvon Martin case. I wrote a paper about Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman and looked at the searches. The author's suggestion for Trayvon Martin was a thug, is a bad person. These really negative frames of Trayvon Martin, or George Zimmerman was framed with is a hero. Similarly, Kara Cadwallader wrote a brilliant article in 2016 that focused on the anti-Semitism of particular searches around Jewish people. Google offered me a choice of potential questions. It's what I want to ask. Are Jews a race? Are Jews white? Are Jews Christian? Are Jews evil? Are Jews evil? It's not a question I ever thought of asking. I hadn't gone looking for it, but there it was. I pressed enter. A page of results appears. This was Google's question, and this was Google's answer. Jews are evil. Because there on my screen was the proof. An entire page of results, 9 out of 10 of which confirmed this. The top result has the headline, Top 10 Major Reasons Why People Hate Jews. I clicked on it. Jews today have taken over marketing, militia, medicinal, technological, media, industrial, cinema, challenges, etc. and continue to face the world's envy through unexplained success stories given that glorious past and vermin-like repression all over Europe. If you're someone who's never really interacted with the Jewish community and you get sent to Google to blindly search information around Jewish people, far from educating yourself, you may well find a wealth of information that sends you to the worst global conspiracy theories. And our trained assumption that Google is going to give us truthful results means people often place a strong level of trust in the order of these search results. The links that get to the top of the pile are the best, right? We trust that the first page of Google is going to get us what we're searching for. Martin Moore, director of the Center of Study of Media, Communications and Power at King's College, says it's large-scale, statistically significant research into the impact of search results on political views, and the way in which you see the results and the type of results you see on the page necessarily have an impact on your perspective. The slippery slope algorithm. There's been a lot of reporting over the past 5 years or so about the way that YouTube's algorithm has a history of funneling people towards alt-right videos, often referred to as the alt-right pipeline. For example, a study called Auditing Radicalization Pathways on YouTube, published in 2020, traced commenters on around 2 million videos across 3 months. They found more than 26% of people who commented on alt-right videos tended to drift over to alt-right videos and subsequently comment there. They concluded that users consistently migrate from milder to more extreme content, and that a large percentage of users who consume alt-right content now consumed alt-like or IDW content in the past. Although it might well be easier to engage only with people who agree with you or are just about to, ultimately the most impact would most likely be had by people tipping into those dangerous waters of extremism, encouraged by these machine learning suggestions. That's not an individual demand I'm making of you, person watching this video specifically. It's just a reality I think that social justice movements on a wider scale should be acknowledging. Not necessarily a core focus of their work, but absolutely something to consider. Questions like, who is to blame for young people ending up with extreme worldviews? At what point should they be old enough to know better? At what point do people stop thinking of very much children as victims to be helped and start thinking of them as fundamentally bad people beyond help? How do you engage and rehabilitate people in this position? Spoiler, I don't have the answers to these questions, but I do think that they're vital to discuss, especially when we look at the results of studies about how difficult it can be to counter misinformation once it's been sown. Karen Douglas, a professor of social psychology at the University of Kent, spoke on this issue, specifically in regards to facts and misinformation and conspiracy theories. Even people with facts elsewhere under certain circumstances. In some of our research, we've actually found that it's quite effective to provide people with factual information, provide people with the facts before they're exposed to conspiracy theories, and the conspiracy theory fails to gain traction. But once the people have been exposed to the conspiracy theory, then giving them the appropriate or correct information afterwards doesn't really work. So there's evidence that a proactive stance is necessary to give people adequate and accurate information before they encounter misinformation, because the alternative is immensely more difficult. Misinformation elsewhere online. It isn't just Google. Here's the thing. If you acknowledge that systems of oppression, the systems that you're trying to reform or dismantle, are biased, including places like the education system or sections of mainstream media, are you surprised that people can go to other places that they would usually be told are good sources of information and come away not having learned what you wanted them to? You just have to look at the fact Twitter having to ask people if they've even clicked on an article, let alone read it when they retweet it, to appreciate how easy misinformation can spread on social media. Also, a year ago, that very well-meaning white people were convinced by the sheer number of people online telling them it was the right thing to do, Facebook likes on Instagram to end Instagram, I guess. Sharing these sources that seem to be in support of cause are not necessarily accurate or reliable. A lot of people are guilty of not doing research but just agreeing with or retweeting the people they follow because we normally agree on stuff, right? Sharing as activism is something that's been critiqued before, often referred to as factism. The real danger being, what if what you share is in fact a piece of misinformation, which then becomes available on Google for more people to independently discover and share. And it's not just other online users and real-life friends, but seemingly reliable media sources too. The obvious example of this in the UK right now is how mainstream papers treat the trans community. Transphobia is rife across the political spectrum here, meaning that left-wing cis readers who don't know anything about trans issues are served a casual barrage of scaremongering transphobia alongside their own political views on a daily basis. And so we can see how easy it is for this kind of prejudice viewpoint to be absorbed into our own assumed beliefs. There is no monolith. So both person Googling manages to get onto the right side of the algorithm. What is the right side exactly? It's easy when comparing extreme views to say, yeah, this is obviously not right source to be learning from. You're not learning about disabled people's experiences from an actively ableist source, for example. But marginalized people are not monolith.
I wanted to say on this topic, recently in a group that I'm in that's for neurodivergent types, people were talking about how someone at their school, I don't know if it was high school or college or what, came up to them and asked if there was a cure for autism. And they said, lol, just Google it and get back to me with what you find. And like, that's so dangerous. There are so many horrifying things that people do to their autistic children. You should never, ever tell someone to just Google cures for autism. Please, dear Lord, if you've ever done that yourself, please Google it yourself and see what turns up. Turn off your sign-ins. Google it on a different person's computer because Google puts its algorithms to you specifically. Figure out the horrors that that person is going to find because you said that to them. Do not just say that and assume all the results will be good.
Not all disabled people feel the same way about their experiences or agree with each other on the best way to help the disabled community at large. That's the same for any marginalized group. When trying to find answers around complex issues of social justice, who do you believe when a group disagrees? This lack of consensus from the inside can lead to great progress. If different groups of marginalized people are each focusing on different areas of liberation, that can end up with a more wide-reaching impact. But for people on the outside trying to learn from the ground up, it can feel more confusing and frustrating than anything. It's also very important to note that marginalized people are not automatically experts on anything but their own personal experiences. They don't have to carry around statistics and studies to back up their own anecdotal stories on social media. And that's a great reason for people to seek information independently rather than relying on someone they follow on Twitter to tell them what to think. The ability for anyone to publish almost anything online means that just suggesting someone should listen to their voices, for example, is not necessarily a strategy that's going to be free from misinformation. Nuance and personal stories. I think the tendency to have a black and white outlook on morality and the way that impacts the way we discuss issues of social justice is ultimately not great for anyone. The idea of debates feels more in demand than discussions or conversations. The implicit idea of if you're not with us, you're against us seemingly leaves little room for someone who's unsure or confused about an element of social justice being obvious by those already educated about it. For a lot of these questions, nuanced discussion and open dialogue feels pretty useful to me. I know I've had way more productive and enlightening conversations one-on-one with people than I've ever had learning purely from internet discourse or dense theory. It's up to the individual whether they want to engage in this kind of discussion or not. Someone's life experiences aren't an invitation for debate or discussion, even if they speak about them publicly. And that can be difficult for someone to give answers, because often the questions are personal, the ones you can't Google. Questions about experiences and anecdotes and opinions. So how do we get around the fact that no, it isn't anyone's job to educate people on social justice issues whenever they demand it? But should there be some kind of collective accountability for social justice education as a whole? Whose job is it then? Even people who are literally paid educators are not expected to be on call to educate people 24 hours a day. Just because someone is a teacher doesn't mean anyone on Twitter can demand a lesson on calculus whenever they like. Responses like it's not my job to educate you make perfect sense on an individual level, because it's almost certainly literally true, it is their job to educate you. But when we look at the impact that this can have on a wider scale, I think that it lets us understand some potential issues with this attitude being treated as a universal response to this kind of questioning online. This means something you may well have seen before. It often gets criticism from people who interpret it as praising the figure on the right and therefore supporting or endorsing their views. But I don't think you have to be sympathetic with the views to understand the logic of the methods. We know from the
testimonies of so many people discussing the time of alt-right on spaces, but they initially characterize themselves as depressed, angry, lonely, or isolated. It makes total sense that a strategy built on being as welcoming as possible, however insidious the messaging is, works. This is obviously taking a very literal and kind of exaggerated viewpoint, but honestly, it's not that different from stuff I see on online spaces on a regular basis. The idea that the far right has written its messaging far more effectively online is not exactly news. Jonathan Albright, an assistant professor of communications in North Carolina, published the first detailed research on how right-wing websites spread their messages back in 2016. But after how it stopped, he responded, I don't know. I'm not sure it can be. It's a network. It's far more powerful than any one actor. It's learning. Every day it's getting stronger. I understand the individual impulse to say, screw people who don't respect me. I'm not interested in engaging. We're all human after all, and that's often really mess with you. It can feel unproductive or hurtful or invalidating, even when the person's intention is good. But on a wider macro level, the question is, can we afford to only preach to the choir? Can we take for granted the idea that good people will just find their way to the right way of thinking by themselves? Honestly, no, because this kind of purity culture idea that ties in with people scrolling through years old Facebook posts declaring that's evidence of someone's current character worthy of punishment feels bizarre to me. Surely people changing is exactly what we want to see. Plus, if a portion of the population is ignorant of these issues and raise the next generation to believe the same harmful views, a handful might break out independently. But waiting for people to reject what they've always been told is the truth by themselves is a damn slow way to make change. Sophia Noble suggests what I consider to be an idealized but interesting proposition: curated and collaborative versions of search engines that point people towards reliable and accurate organizations, as opposed to black and white summarized results in an informational free-for-all for highest bidder, essentially guiding people through their learning. Pointing out, I think young people are increasingly asking search engines complex questions that might be better suited or pointed towards, say, a reference librarian or a trusted learned adult who might know, or maybe organizations that have been working in an area for a long time who have bodies of evidence and research that have informed point of view. What are people hearing? I think when we lay out the point of view of individual people who respond with things like Google is free, it seems pretty reasonable and understandable. And a lot of this video is kind of taking for granted the idea that people would see that advice, take it, and then look for what they might find when they did Google. But that's not necessarily going to be the response. I know random Reddit user is not exactly a source of universal morality, but looking at people on Reddit's interpretations of this request does give us an idea of what people are actually hearing when someone says that to them. Here's some of the top comments on Reddit about this exact conversation. It just shows you're either not mature enough to carry on the conversation, too lazy to actually read the picture point of view, or just don't understand it. When someone says, I'm not here to educate you, I'm pretty sure it means I'm just repeating something that I've heard someone else say, and I don't really know what I'm talking about. Hamlet is format's perfect for this kind of attitude. No need to write your own shit, just read blogs from else and suddenly you'll appear informed. Social justice advocates want to fix the ingrained discriminatory practices in our culture, yet when the opportunity presents itself to explain or even link a relevant article, they shy away. It's as if they want to have the duty of pointing out wrongs, but can't be bothered to actually follow through to the next step. You have someone's attention, you're in the middle of a discussion about the thing. There's really no better time to break it down and explain it. This is especially true because party A can be assumed to be more educated in matter than party B. There is no better alternative. It's an opportunity to at least put out a dissenting opinion that the other person might think about. So to many people, it's not my job to educate you. Sounds like I don't actually have any evidence for what I'm saying, especially if you're the one who's introducing the idea to them on a public platform in the first place. If you're directly addressing a group of people saying something like all straight people should X, Y, and Z, is it any wonder that people might ask clarifying or curious questions? It might also be useful to consider that what some might consider to be basic or easy questions maybe only feel that way because you're at the center of the issue already. I've had a lot of people ask me online and in person questions that are the very beginning levels of basic information about things like the very existence of LGBTQ+ people. I have to remember, not everyone knows about this stuff. I genuinely believe most people are well-meaning and curious, and if we also acknowledge that keep them at privilege is ignorance, that is a part of the very concept of what is to have privilege. And can we expect people to know what they don't know in order to...
I recently had a conversation with someone about who wears the pants in the relationship, in a queer relationship. I haven't had someone mention that question in like a decade. I was just so surprised. I really struggled to respond to them because I didn't have a Google source to bring up to them. There's no one who wears the pants in a lesbian relationship. There's no one who wears the pants in a gay relationship. I guess you could ask who's the more dominant individual, but I feel like everyone's really just asking which of us wears the strap on. And like, even that is like, you're asking me to confirm if I'm a swap or not. Do you actually want that answer? Do you actually want that knowledge?
how they should be gathering information without falling into the trap of misinformation. What should we do? Okay, so here I am making this long video, basically going back and forwards, like this was understandable, but also sometimes misinterpreted, but also maybe not useful anyway, but also etc. What we actually do then? My view on this is pretty similar to my view on most social justice work, which is that there is no one ultimate answer. Historically, for there to be change, it often takes a combination of things like direct action, education, political campaigning, media representation, fundraising, etc. Ultimately, if we want more people empathetic and educated, fighting for marginalized people's rights, calling out and structurally changing issues of injustice, how do we help make that happen without sacrificing individual marginalized people in the process? Firstly, to anyone who is frustrated when they get this type of do your own research response, it's important to understand that if someone is offered information or anecdotes, you can ask, but don't feel entitled to an answer. Ultimately, this is an imperfect situation. In an ideal world, everyone would always be genuine and considerate of their questions, and someone with a knowledge and inclination would always be around to discover an answer. But we don't live in an ideal world. I think we need to understand that engaging with these queries is an individual choice, but it's useful to think about it in a nuanced way before we decide what our individual response will be. I'm focusing on the Google freestyle of online activism in this video. The other side of the coin is the tendency I sometimes see for people to take on too much, stretch themselves too thin, burning out as they try and make their entire lives about cause. Things to consider might be your own emotional capacity, your own knowledge level, the seeming intent of the question, who else is speaking or listening in this space, and the context of the conversation in terms of current affairs, discourse, and/or cultural bias. Within activism, there are different roles. Some people are into education, but others like organising. Groups of people within a movement might take on the role of bringing people on board by answering questions, having discussions, or suggesting resources. But others will dedicate their efforts to organising those already in the room. You don't have to do everything. If you do want to respond, an alternative to telling people in a broad sense to do their own research is to offer something specific for them to look at. Maybe a website, a book, a video, or a podcast episode you can send that you consider to be accurate and reliable, for at least be putting forward the opinion that you hold. If the ever-present urgency of online spaces is overwhelming, but you still want to be making change, especially with people who are genuinely curious, you can always consider in-person or specifically structured activism. Things like door-to-door petitions or protesting in your local area and community. These are tangible tasks engaged with for a limited amount of time for a specific reason, as opposed to merely existing on the internet, which makes you available 24/7 by limitless numbers of people. And finally, I think that encouraging media literacy and skepticism should be a vital part of activism and advocacy for everyone. This kind of education, helping people determine accurate and reliable information and sources, and question what they've been told, even from those they tend to agree with, it helps people educate themselves across all social justice issues. My policy, and I think it's generally good advice, is you always fact check things you see that you disagree with. And the things you agree with, you fact check those twice. So I hope you found the video interesting. If you have any thoughts, anything that's covered, I'd love to hear them in the comments. And as usual, if you'd like to help support videos like this one, I'm going to leave a link to my Patreon in the description box along with all my social. I've heard the
I did this video myself, obviously, and I feel like it ties into some of the shit that's been talked about. People think that you have to do everything, and this is why you don't, basically.
question, why would anyone do anything for free, said it to me several times. And do those people never do anything for their family? Do they see their spouse as just like this logically beneficial thing that they allowed in their fucking presence and then allowed these little tiny offspring to exist so long as they're within, parameters of usefulness? That's how you view your family. You never do anything free for them. You're always thinking of how they're going to be repaying you later. You're never just thinking of them, ever. Like, for instance, okay, say every architect went on strike. You wouldn't, like, start using YouTube to sort of learn how to build shit so that you can provide shelter for your family. Wherever your family's interests are. If your wife likes to paint, would you never get her, you never use YouTube to, like, figure out what you needed to help her gain those pigments and make paper and stuff if she was really struggling to do that? If your husband is, like, having a really fucking hard time, you don't do the labor of, like, helping him, not to say that, like, you should be your husband's therapist, but, like, in the moment that you don't have a therapy session, if your husband's freaking out, like, you don't help them unless there's something in it for you. You just do it because you need a peace of mind right now, not because you care about that person who's having a problem. If your kid's disabled, you're going to just disown them. You're not going to figure out and research their disability to help them. Like, if their legs don't work for whatever reason, you're not going to, like, start researching how, like, what the good wheelchairs are and stuff and all that. And on the topic of research, like, you think, oh, well, where am I going to look that up if no one's paid to do it? People upload shit to YouTube all the time for free. People edit Wikipedia for free. I, if nothing else, take notes myself in my own journal for things that I'm studying to help my family. And when I'm dead and gone, that journal's probably still going to exist as long as I don't burn it. So there you go. I did something for free via selfishness, and it will benefit others. I made a notebook, and as long as I'm not so selfish that on my deathbed I want all of my notes burned, I've put knowledge into the world for free. There's so many notebooks from people that we could look through. Like, that's basically what Charles Darwin and, like, so many philosophers are. It's not necessarily they were publishing for capital. This was the thing that interested them, and we're going to write these notes regardless. And you just there's so many diaries. They're like books now that those things were private, but when they were discovered after that person's death, someone was able to profit off of it. It's not that thing was done for profit. It was done for free, and then profit found it. I just never have understood the question, why would anyone do anything for free? How would you sit and do nothing? You're gonna just lay on the ground and die? That's what you're gonna do if, like, literally no one's obligated to do anything? If everyone just suddenly didn't have to have jobs to get by and didn't have to do labor just for a right to live, you would just lay down and die as, like, a tantrum? You wouldn't start trying to figure out, like, what you were supposed to do to help your family survive and friends? I just don't get it. I don't understand the question.
Hello YouTube, today I want to do an overview of disability.
I feel like this video is basically the unspoken shit that's been in the background of every video so far. If you think people have to earn the right for medication, earn the right for food, earn the right for shelter from the rain, a roof over their head, then you think every single disabled person deserves to just fucking die. And if you can't comprehend that connection, you must be a coward or in just total... I don't even know. I don't know how you can hate disabled people this much. I don't know how you can worship Darwin so fucking hard that you'll let him replace every other religion in your life. Yeah.
In the context of capitalism. A topic I've noticed many prominent leftist channels have understandably shied away from. But not me. Oh boy, I can't wait to read the comments. This bitch isn't even really disabled.
She's just whining about nothing. Why don't we do eugenics?
I'd absolutely shit in her mouth.
Disclaimer before I start. Every single person experiences disability differently. My experience is not the disabled experience. I'm not the disability ambassador. There will likely be a lot of disabled people who disagree with a lot of the things I say. And these are probably smart people. I know I have plenty of internalized ableism to sort through, and probably a lot of other shit wrong with me, and I hope this video reaches some people who can help me with that. I want to start a dialogue. I don't want to tell you what to think. I don't have a camera, but I do have a mic that I may have borrowed without permission from my brother. So let's get started.
Something's wrong. Get it done by your own mic.
Well, I can't. I can't work it up.
Say what your welfare checks then.
Oh, Jeremy Strumman, you kidder. Oh no. Oh, you were serious. Disability and capitalism. Access to resources is obviously something that people who are not from wealthy families struggle with, but it's a particularly difficult problem for people who are legally considered disabled. Once you depend on the government for money, you're not only less likely to live above the poverty line, but functionally no longer allowed to do so. In the United States, you can't legally have more than $2,000 in your bank account and still receive benefits. And Social Security certainly makes sure that's not fucking likely. Disability benefits hover at what's determined to be poverty level, currently $12,140 per year. $40, come on, granted, the federal poverty level was first determined in 1960, and this number has only been slightly adjusted for inflation every so often ever since. In 1990, the Urban Institute concluded that in order for the poverty level to be comparable to the 1960s threshold, it would have to be at least 50% higher, which would put a quarter of the American population below it. Let's see what this would be nowadays. $18,210. Disabled people are nearly 3 times as likely as the general population to live below the already inaccurately low poverty line. And yes, before I get lectured about person-centered language and defining disability by government standards, I intentionally put the word disabled before the word people here, because in this case I'm referring to the defined social category measured by the census, not individual people who have disabilities. Of course, there are many people who have disabilities who are not considered disabled by the state, and many people considered disabled by the state who don't themselves identify as disabled. So basically, fuck you, I'm a disabled and I say what I want. By the way, if you're American and you receive disability payments, you can open up an Able account. You don't use that money for medical expenses because America is a dystopian hellscape, but at least you might be able to avoid crippling medical debt and get that new shower chair you've been eyeing. Links in the description.
You said you can't work, but you look fine to me. Even if you were in a wheelchair or something, then you could still sit in an office and do what I do.
But I couldn't, because I'm disabled.
Why not? You don't look sick.
Okay, well, there's a lot to unpack here. You see, well, there are two main models for discussing disability, the medical and the social. The medical model of disability is that a person's disability is a problem with their body that needs to be fixed. The social model posits that it's a problem with society.
How could someone being sick be a problem with society? Are you saying your sickness is society? You go to the doctor. The doctor says you're healthy or not. What did the doctor say?
I have issues with both these models, actually. The medical model can be dehumanizing for many disabled people who don't think they have a problem. Many people who are non-neurotypical or deaf, for instance, often don't want to be fixed, since these conditions aren't in any way inherently harmful or painful, and in fact, they feel a sense of pride in their identity. Furthermore, there's a pretty long and disgusting history of subjecting people to invasive, impractical, and even deadly medical interventions for conditions considered disabling, but which actually pose no mortal threat. This is a huge, scary fucking nightmare problem. The social model has largely been adopted as a new standard for disability discussion and legislation. However, Martha Russell, author of the essays contained in Capitalism and Disability, would contend that the current version of the social model, also known as the minority model, has an insidious neoliberal bias, which can often deny the reality of disability in a capitalist society. A more accurate model, Russell suggests, is a social theory of disability derived from labor relations.
I don't think doctors are diagnosing people with social conditions that people can't hear. That's one less thing they can do. That is a disability. You still don't tell me why you can't work.
Okay, fine. I don't think you're getting it. There's perhaps no better disability to illustrate the social theory of disability derived from labor relations than my own Kafka's nightmare condition. I also have several comorbid conditions, but those aren't really relevant to this discussion, and I don't want to encourage disability gatekeeping. So no, my main disabling condition is that I have over 25 hours in my day.
What? Then you should be producing more, not less. You're hyper-able, a turbo normie, if you will.
No. Let me explain. It's called non-24 sleep-wake disorder. Every day my sleep time moves ahead 1 or 2, sometimes as much as 3 or 4 hours. I can't reliably predict these shifts, so today I might be going to sleep at 8 p.m. and by next week I may be falling asleep anywhere from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. Basically, it's impossible for me to keep any semblance of a schedule. Now, it would be ridiculous to expect society to accommodate these insane hours when an estimated 99.95% of people in the world operate on a 24-hour day. No one wants to hold a business conference at 11 p.m. one week and 5 a.m. the next, especially not for the sake of a single employee. So the minority model disability doesn't work here. There are no reasonable accommodations if, say, I wanted to work as a cashier or a waitress. Employers can't have an employee who just shows up whenever they want and can't fit in the schedule. And I've had no luck with the medical model because science still hasn't figured out a way for me to adapt to a 24-hour schedule. And if a drug were invented that worked for me, would it even be a good idea to take something that could potentially have a number of side effects and maybe even shorten my life for the sake of fitting into a 24-hour world? Even if I had no comorbidities or chronic pain, simply operating on a different time frame than everyone else disqualifies me from most jobs in existence. The medical model says that's my neurological disorder's fault, and the minority model says that's society's fault for not accommodating me. But the social model of disability derived from labor relations posits that by focusing on curing so-called abnormalities and segregating those who could not be cured into the administrative category of disabled, medicine cooperated in shoving less exploitable workers out of the mainstream workforce. So the social model of disability I'm sorry, hang on, can we rebrand? Personally, I like the term less exploitable. Can we do that instead? Less exploitable. So the less exploitable model posits that a difference in condition is not even medicalized as a disability until it interferes with one's ability to do labor. Basically, disabled really just means disable to work full time. Not 24 isn't inherently harmful to my health, but it is something that severely affects my ability to work. Because I can't work on anyone's schedule of my own, I am unemployable, less exploitable, and therefore disabled. So you can see how the minority model might be flawed, since no other minority group is defined by their inability to work, but instead by their systemic lack of access to opportunity, which only creates the perception of being less able to work. Obviously, an argument can be made that there would be fewer people even classified as disabled if simple cost-effective accommodations were standard. Let me be clear, I'm not anti-accommodation. I'm pro figuring out what the hell to do with the fact that accommodations aren't good business practice. Unlike other underprivileged minority groups, disabled people not only need acceptance, education, and resources, but also accommodations. Accommodations which put the burden of cost on the employer and even the profit margins. The reality is that we, the disabled, don't have separate but equal skills in a free market economy. If we did, this model asserts, then we wouldn't even be called disabled. The problem isn't workplaces lacking accommodations. It's capitalism and the free market.
Jesus. You can't blame capitalism for everything. There are jobs you can do anytime from home. You seem to be good with words. Why not be a professional writer?
You're good at video games. Why aren't you a professional gamer, Jeremy?
I'm too busy with my real job? What's your excuse?
In order to do either unskilled or skilled labor, I have to have very understanding coworkers, great social connections to even get the job, and or highly specialized skills. These things are all pretty fucking hard to come by when you're isolated from the larger world. I was lucky enough to have a college education, but it's common for people with disabilities to not even finish high school. However, I homeschooled for high school and took all my college courses online, so I don't have any professional contacts. I don't know any teachers or professors or even the other students in my classes. Due to the social exclusion, there are a lot of things which are common knowledge that I don't know about or only understand in theory, like handshakes. Seriously, I've given about 5 handshakes in my entire life, and I can't even know what things I don't know.
Okay, but what about highly specialized skills? You can freelance.
Okay, but why the fuck should disabled people be expected to hone highly specialized skills when able-bodied people can get by without? Story time. I made a friend in a support group from 1994 who used to live independently as a freelance graphic designer prior to developing this disorder. They are highly trained and highly skilled, but once they couldn't make it to appointments, they couldn't make a living. Often, it doesn't matter how good you are at something. If you can't show up or communicate in a timely or acceptable manner, then you're not getting as much work as someone who can, even if you're more talented.
But the ADA...
Oh yeah, the ADA. You honestly think we live in a world where all workplaces are totally accessible now because the ADA made employers promise they would try harder?
Hitler promised not to check the package, Jeremy. Welcome to the real world.
The ADA was passed 30 years ago, and the unemployment rate for people with disabilities has not changed. In 2014, only 16.8% of people with disabilities were employed. Certainly, many workers who may be considered disabled are just as capable as anyone else and ultimately cost the same as any other employee, but employers and insurance companies only see the risks which come with the pre-existing condition, ignoring, of course.
I have a couple of videos about my IBS and dietary restrictions if you actually give a fuck and aren't just trolling.
Any number of able-bodied employees may have costly invisible disabilities.
Okay, but I still don't really see how losing sleep is an issue. You just don't want to work. You're blaming capitalism for something that you need to just get used to. I never sleep.
Listen. I don't want to have this conversation where I have to show you my medical records and explain that sleep deprivation is literally a form of torture. I don't feel like using any more time in this video justifying myself. And I think this is partly what keeps so many disabled people from entering the public discourse. There's a fear that you're not disabled enough, or it's not in the right ways. That people will blame you or pity you or treat you as if you have no value. That people won't listen to what you say because they only care about your misery porn or fixing you enough to get a job or hearing your inspirational story. Which reminds me, I have an inspirational anti-capitalist quote that I want to read.
Can we stop talking about capitalism?
Let's just see if you can guess it. In such a crisis, the capitalist class cannot save itself or its institutions. The police and armies will be powerless to put down the last revolt. For men at last will take its own, not considering the cost. When that day dawns, if the workers are not thoroughly organized, they may easily become a blind force of destruction, unable to check their own momentum. Their cry for justice drowned in a howl of rage. Whatever is good and beneficent in our civilizations can be saved only by the workers. And the industrial workers of the world is formed the object carrying on the business of the world. When capitalism is overthrown.
God, I don't know. Can people stop talking about the end of capitalism as an inevitability? You sound like an edgelord.
It's Helen Keller. I know. Did you know there was an FBI case file on her due to un-American socialist rhetoric and organizing activities? Link in the description. Week in school, all I knew about Helen Keller, aside from her disabilities, is that she knew the sign for water. Why is that?
Because what she said is leftist propaganda?
Granted, the lack of nuanced discussion may be more of a problem with our education system and less of a problem with how we use disabled people to propagate the myth of pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. But I propose there are several cognitive and cultural biases working against an accurate public perception of Comrade Helen and people with disabilities in general.
Like what?
Well, I think I might take more than one video, but the first bias I'd like to dig into is the just world theory, because it kind of sets the stage for the others. In a study done by Lerner and Simmons in 1966, 72 undergrads were subjected to watching video of a girl who appeared to receive severe and painful shocks every time she got an answer on a test wrong. As the video went on, it became clear that the undergrads could do nothing to help her and that these shocks would continue into a second session. So how do these people confront powerlessness in the face of another person's suffering? Simple. They devalue the girl. If a guilty person is being tortured, then that's okay, right? No, it's not okay, but I don't have time to talk about that right now.
That's messed up. I'd never do that.
I'm not here to force you into introspection, but remember how after I told you that I can't work, you responded by claiming that I could in fact work, even though you have pretty limited information on my life and my conditions? This propensity to blame someone for something they can't control is often called victim blaming, and probably every person familiar with the Me Too movement knows the term. I prefer just world theory in this context though, because many people with what are considered disabilities don't consider themselves victims or even necessarily disabled. It's not uncommon for deaf people to say that they pretty much just speak a different language. The term just world theory focuses on the biased person's own perception of the world as fair in the ways they deem appropriate. For instance, seeing the idea of being deaf as a loss of hearing rather than being capital D deaf as an identity. This way, we don't unfairly label said deaf person a victim. So basically, if you start with the assumption that the world is fair, God is good, karma goes, tail Satan, sin, have money, then this can be really great for your own self-esteem. It can give you a sense of control, which can be a really positive thing. But what happens when that control is challenged by an existential threat, like someone with a disability existing near you? Well, now you have to either decide the person deserves what's perceived as an illness because they're less valuable, yikes, or their condition somehow adds to their life and they're actually normal, but not just normal, extra super special, deeply meaningful, differently abled, inspirational. So we talk about the story of the kid who learned to communicate despite being deaf and blind, inspirational. And don't mention anything that might be polarizing about her life, anything that might just show that not only was Helen Keller a full-grown adult with opinions of her own, infantilization, but that those opinions to some people were bad and could hurt public perception of people with disabilities. Knowing that Helen Keller was a socialist is enough for some people to tip the scales from she was extra super duper special back to she fucking deserved it. Basically, it's bad optics. It's bad for the brand. But I think we need to make room in the discourse. Obviously, a large part of the problem of how we perceive people with disabilities as victims is how we measure value in a capitalist society.
Of course, it all comes back to capitalism.
But really, what can be done about the fact that it's not profitable to employ disabled workers, especially considering that there are already not enough jobs for able ones? I'm not going to pretend like it's any different. I know when it comes to both the labor market and video making, I have low production value.
Come on, you just don't want to work.
Of course I want to work. Do you think I like having no organizing force in my life and being crushed by existential dread on a daily basis? It's not ideal. I can feel a desire for work and still understand that it would be a nonsensical business move for someone to hire me full time. That has nothing to do with my work ethic or self-confidence and everything to do with my confidence in the free market. Maybe a lot of us less exploitables can't work a full 40 hours a week, but
Am I doing no work? I draw every day. I cook every day. I clean every day. I do laundry every day. I do so much. My day is full. But I don't get money for it because I'm not hired as a housemaid. If I could get employment as a housemaid, I would do exactly the same amount of shit that I'm doing today and get money. But I can't be hired as a housemaid. I just am a housemaid. So I deserve to die. So that's how this fucking works. Nobody does nothing. This is what my video about nobody does. Why do anything for free? Why do anything for free is the video that exists because nobody does nothing.
But if given the resources to survive and educate ourselves, we can absolutely contribute in meaningful ways. If our society was structured in a way that we only did the work that needed to be done and extra work was optional, then I'm not really sure how many people would even be considered disabled. Can we finally, genuinely then, call people differently abled? Or will this always be a dysphonism? Of course, there are people who will always need carers and people who will not be able to do any amount of physical or intellectual labor. But without the need for everyone to work, then I wonder if people would be quicker to recognize these individuals as added value rather than added burden. And please don't get upset at my use of the word burden here, because currently that's what I am in this society. I don't want to sit here and pretend like it's different. I want society to be different. I'm currently not only a financial burden, but an existential one. Families can become homeless caring for children with disabilities, especially children with disabilities unrecognized by the state. Families skip meals and make huge sacrifices because they can see the human value in individuals who aren't valued by the free market. Unfortunately, for countless people with disabilities, many families don't see their value outside of the free market, or aren't willing to make those sacrifices, and instead abuse them, kill them, or leave them to die. Knowing there are people who think the world might be better if you were dead can really take a toll on a person's self-esteem, to say the least. But I think it's better to face this reality and discuss its causes rather than cover it up in social taboos and polite language and hope it'll go away. Superficial analysis only leads to superficial solutions. I'm sure it's totally safe to have that sort of serious life or death discussion here. People never receive death threats, not on the internet. I can know intellectually that it's okay to enjoy life and spend time with people I love, doing things that I love without the crushing guilt of not producing anything of market value. But it's hard to recondition myself to accept that just because I don't have labor value, I do still have human value. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, over 16 million Americans have lost their jobs at the time of writing this video. Yet society hasn't collapsed. People can still receive medical care. Houses haven't disappeared. Food hasn't disappeared. We still have all the same resources. The only problem is that people are prevented access to these resources due to our economic system. Our system is founded on the false and dangerous idea that every person has to work full time, even if they're just standing outside flipping a sign around for 40 hours a week, when they could be doing something that contributes meaningfully to society, something that they might enjoy. And what's worse, the idea that people should be punished if they don't work full time. That if we didn't punish people for this, then there would be no doctors or farmers or scientists. That no one desires to do work, help society, or expand human knowledge without payment. Explain the existence of fan fiction. With the rise of automation, more and more people will not need to work. Already, there's no need for the 40-hour work week. I hope with this channel we can all explore how to define value outside of the capitalist labor market together. And remember, there's no shame in being less exploitable.
I don't actually remember this video, but I wrote it in pen, so when I watched it, I must have thought it really tied into this other shit we've been watching.
Lurking in the blind spots of our communities, just out of view for me, invisible systems are aligned against us, camouflaged in the trappings of culture and veiled by corporate obfuscation. These systems subtly manipulate our lives in ways most people never even see or understand. Some will go their entire lives not knowing their prisons. But for society's most vulnerable, once they've got you, it can be impossible to fight your way out. But when most people think of systems of oppression, they think of the very real physical and generational effects of practices like slavery and apartheid. Which means that a lot of the time when we're talking about forms of oppression that might be considered less obvious from the outside, they're often dismissed as just bad luck. And people who aren't convinced of the existence of these systems, or people that actively benefit from them, will often say something like, show me in the law where people are discriminated against. And while sometimes you can point to actual legal
I have uploaded my drawings to my Patreon, but I've been uploading less to my Patreon. Patreon seems to have removed the ability to charge people up front, and someone signed in recently, looked at all my stuff, streamed it, and then canceled their subscription, so I didn't even get the $5 they gave me. So I've been, 1, less willing to upload to Patreon, and 2, uploading less stuff to Patreon. And to you bitches that talk about filling out job applications, surprise, I have, and it doesn't do anything. Even if I can do housework, what housework services want me to do is work with no breaks, and my stomach will start fleeting if I don't stop and eat something every once in a while. So, yeah, I can't just get a job because no one will fucking hire me. So I do work without being hired. I deserve to die because no one will hire me even though I do work. Say it or admit you're a coward.
Examples. It also exists these less visible systems of oppression. They can be a lot harder to pin down. It's kind of like a game of snakes and ladders, where these systems I'm going to talk about are snakes, and depending on different factors, the board you're playing on may have far more of them than the ladders. And for some demographics, there's so many of these systems working against them that life is less like a board game and more like one of those Mario Maker levels. It's like a complete chaos, and there's fire everywhere. No one wastes 5 fucking seconds, just constantly running and jumping and burning with fire. So, with this video, I'm going to explain a couple different, perhaps more subtle systems of oppression, and how they might interact with each other in ways that are not so visible to people unaffected by them. In my last video, I spoke about how, because of our own biases, we often unknowingly elevate people that conform to certain stereotypes because we perceive them to be more capable. But these systems also work in the other direction. One example of that is that femininity is often linked with physical weakness and fragility, because these things are generally seen as a binary spectrum between 2 points, masculine and tough on one side, and feminine and dainty on the other. This is why strong feminine presenting people are often coded as masculine, instead of just like feminine, but strong. The reality is that these things don't actually match so closely together, and in the real world, your strength, pain tolerance, and ability to take a hit are completely independent of whether or not you like wearing floral dresses or makeup. So this means that in healthcare situations, women and feminine presenting people are often assumed to be overstating their pain, or acting like a girl, as some say, which results in healthcare officials often disregarding critical information. Now, in my day job, I'm a televisor, and I put pain people all day in and out. And from my observations, there's no group I can single out to say is really any better or worse than the rest. Aside from people that say they have high pain tolerance, they are legitimately the worst. Now, I know that's just anecdotal, but it lines up with numerous studies which show that no distinct groups experience pain worse than the other. But despite experiencing the same levels of pain, men are more likely to be referred on for actual physical diagnostic tests, whereas women are more likely to be referred on to psychologists and other mental health professionals, which is for a large amount of people suffering from chronic pain going for years without a diagnosis and help them manage that pain. Which means being unable to work, study, socialize. With chronic pain, even just getting out of bed can be a challenge. And people live with this all because it's assumed that the level of pain they're experiencing isn't as bad as they're making it out to be. This can also be compounded by other factors like race and class. These things can all affect the way you're perceived by people. So in this way, symptoms of patriarchal oppression don't necessarily manifest themselves explicitly, but can appear organically due to common misconceptions and unconscious biases. And this is only one way that these antiquated views of masculinity and femininity affect our lives. It's this exact same thinking that leads young men to bottle up their feelings, with any expression of pain, depression, or vulnerability seen as weakness, or as we heard earlier on, acting like a girl, which is why movements like feminism, which don't critical eye on patriarchal structures, are just as beneficial to cisgendered men as they are to everybody else. One big thing that has become a huge issue in recent times is the precarity of living spaces due to the increased financialization of housing, which is driven largely by the whims of speculative markets. These days, a lot of people are living week to week with very little in the way of savings, and a good chunk of renters are spending up 40% or more of their weekly earnings just on rent. This can mean that with the addition of food and living expenses, just existing takes up the majority of the average person's income in most developed cities. On top of increased expenses, all over the world we're experiencing a huge lack of adequate housing, with some of the richest nations in the world facing rising homeless populations. The global housing crisis has become a hot topic in almost every political arena, and although house and rental prices are skyrocketing, wages are stagnating, and people are getting priced out of big cities with little or no alternative. Now, you may have seen people on TV telling you that this is no big deal, that you should move out of the city anyway, that there are thousands of empty houses out there. But what about jobs, or universities, or even just your friends and family, where you shouldn't have to sacrifice any of these things just to avoid destitution? This is exacerbated by the neoliberal fixation on treating physical assets as if they were liquid investments to be speculated with. So we're seeing houses being bought and sold over short periods with increased profit margins, completely disregarding the actual social function of housing in the first place. You know, just keeping people fucking dry. Sometimes they're even being kept empty because capital gains from selling the houses are big enough that the owners don't need to spend time effort filling them with tenants that still turn a decent profit. So because of all this, a good chunk of landlords have found themselves with an adversarial relationship with tenants. There's this mindset that the house itself is generating income, and the tenants are just there to eat away at their returns. So any maintenance issues that come up, even if you're required by law to fix them or keep the property at minimum standard, these costs are thought of as a bite out of their pie, instead of the necessary costs of running a business. And because the landlord is usually the one with the ball in their court, most tenants would rather deal with mold and licks than risk getting on the landlord's bad side. This results in a majorly one-sided power dynamic with landlords, because if you leave, they've got a queue of people waiting to take your spot. But you've got to go through the entire process of finding another place while also competing with everyone else that's looking. Not to mention saving up for bond, rent advances, and other moving costs, which is especially how when you already spend a large portion of your income on the place you're already in. And even though adequate housing is literally enshrined in the Universal Declaration for Human Rights, it seems just a hurdle between an investor and their profits, instead of a safeguard for the dignity and well-being of their tenants. So with this in mind, you can see how with the right conditions, things we've always taken for granted, like a family home, can quickly become commodified and reduce to being just another vehicle for capital and a piggy bank for landlords. Years ago, when it seemed like capitalism was hitting critical mass, and everyone was operating pretty much to the extent that their actual wealth would allow them, some nerd came up with the idea of credit. Well, actually, the concept of credit goes back to ancient history, but credit as we know it today was a system invented to allow businesses to push past the limits of their own production, no longer needing to wait for the rate to hatch, they could borrow fictitious capital from banks, with the promise of paying it back later, or once they sold all their arsenic wallpaper and mustache wax or whatever.
Thanks for sharing the fact that you don't pee for 7 hours a day. I guess in trade I'll share with you the fact that I have incontinence and can't hold my pee for that long. I guess I'll just piss myself at work and get fired. That's what you want?
So, to stop this from getting wildly out of control, well, in an attempt to stop it from getting out of control, lenders would share information on borrowers, so they could see who had paid them back on time, who had missed payments, yada yada yada. Now, after a little while, they started pushing more of the system onto the individual. So, initially, people might have just borrowed for big purchases like cars and washing machines, but with the invention of the credit card, it was gradually shifted over to focusing on smaller consumer goods, which people and businesses ran to like ducks to water. And this all makes sense, right? Before lending someone money, you want to have an idea of their track record, and their missed payments in their past, etc., etc. But these days, the system is weighted in a way that punishes poor people borrowing small amounts of money far more than the rich. If you're a millionaire, you can literally destroy entire markets, get bailed out by government, pick up a bonus, and still get a bank loan. But if you're a regular working class human, running late on a couple small payments can take a credit score years to recover from. So, as expected, the poorer you are, the more likely you are to have bad credit. And the worse your credit is, the more you get charged in interest, fees, initial payments, plus higher insurance premiums, and can even stop you from getting a cell phone contract or buy you from working certain jobs. But you don't have to be in total poverty to have bad credit. Like I mentioned before, these days most millennials and younger, plus a large portion of the elderly, are living week to week, whether by paycheck, student allowance, or pension. All it takes is one unexpected expense to throw a spanner in the works and send you on a downward spiral. Because of this, there also exists a parallel industry of loans for people with bad credit, which often charge super high compound interest rates, which means you're paying interest not only on the initial amount, but on the interest accumulated too, which means people soon found out far more than they initially borrowed. And considering it's generally only people that are already in a bad spot to begin with getting with these loans, it's pretty easy to see where the story goes. Now, these companies only exist because of the surrounding economic landscape, which allows them to flourish. Sure, they may seem unethical, but are they any more unethical than the systems that created them? I mean, you could campaign against them to regulate the interest rates and stop them from preying on at-risk communities, which would be good, but that wouldn't remove the problems that lead them to exist in the first place. Industries like this are only the pimples on the top of the oily paws of capitalism. As long as money is continually going up to the
I literally said in that post that my vibrator is broken. The scissors make it work. I do not have an on button or an off button.
Ways to exploit people down the bottom. And as visionary thinker Clifford Ameson's Jr. once said, cash rules everything around me. A statement that cuts right to the core of Marx's initial critiques of capitalism. Cash, or capital, and people holding it, have become the new rulers of everything around us. And while we may have done away with feudalism, these systems are still here separating the royals from the serfs. Now, as we've just seen, these systems of oppression don't necessarily have to be as black and white as things like...
If you give a shit, buy me a new one.
If you're directly affected by them, you might never even know they're there. Which makes it no surprise that for every legitimate system of oppression, there are also people out there tilting at windmills, thinking they're being oppressed when they're really not. An example of this, which has blown up recently, is the issue of free speech and censorship in nations like America, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. If you listen to certain media figures like Dave Rubin, Stephen Crowder, and Tim Pool, you'd think that this is the greatest battle of our age, that people are being locked up left, right, and center for deviating from the dominant narrative, that what they're telling us is so important, so disruptive, that they're putting their necks out just to get the message out, and they're surrounded by their fallen brothers, censored by the merciless guillotine of the mainstream media. Except that they're not. This just isn't happening in the way they're telling us. In fact, if anything, these guys are being given larger and larger platforms. Their endorsement of conservative politics is actually beneficial to the status quo, which is why when minority creators and leftists have their content removed due to conservative hate campaigns, it very rarely gets appealed. But guys like Pool and Rubin get personal audiences with the CEOs of Twitter and YouTube. Now, whether or not these guys really believe they're being oppressed, or if it's just a branding exercise is irrelevant, they've effectively weaponized their perceived victimhood in a way not unlike people that don't believe in systemic oppression often accuse legitimately oppressed minorities of doing, which is why it's important to still think critically about these things, because if we're not careful, we can find ourselves inadvertently enabling the people that are working against our best interests, all because they've adopted the aesthetics of oppression and rebellion. So individually, these things are not to wreck your shit, but when they come together, it can create a perfect storm that can have lasting effects on your life, your family, and entire communities. Let's run through a quick simulation. Imagine one day you show up to work, you pick up the tools, punch in, and get down to it. You're hacking away at tasks when all of a sudden you slip up and hurt your arm. You can't work like this, so you take the rest of the day off to go see a doctor, and they tell you that you just need to do some stretches and you'll be fine. But it's hard to work with this injury, so you have to take some time off work, and because you're a shift worker, this means you're short on cash. So to cover your rent and expenses, you have to get a payday loan. But by the time next week rolls around, you still can't work, and your arm feels even worse. So now you need to borrow more money, pay for another doctor's visit, and miss out on even more work. And you're already paying interest on the money you borrowed last week. Now, maybe you recover here, get back to work and pay off your debts. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you end up way over your head, miss rent payments, ruin your credit, and end up on the street. Now, imagine how much harder all this would have been if you had kids or relatives that would depend on you. I know this is an extremely convenient hypothetical situation that I just made up to give a certain narrative, but I'm just using it to get the gears turning in your head. Sure, you could put this down to a terrible run of bad luck, but is it really just luck when this kind of shit happens every day in supposedly wealthy nations all around the world? And these are only a few examples of the ways that these systems can bring people down. There are literally thousands of others out there that would be impossible for me to explain in more than one video. What it's important to understand, though, is that none of these things occur in a vacuum. If you hit one of these hurdles, it can become a domino. And whether these systems are intentional, accidental, or just built on flawed ideas, they all work in similar ways to funnel us towards certain outcomes. Whether that's mindless consumerism or abject poverty, it's all just part of a greater machine. Maintaining a large population of working poor is core to the survival of the current status quo. Like the decaying Stalin sphere, under capitalism, money really is power, and even the hard-won rights that allow us to fight back, like collective bargaining, are constantly under attack, with governments worldwide stripping back worker protections as incentive to bring big companies like Amazon and Warner Brothers to town. It's important for these companies to have ready access to cheap, replaceable labor, so even when forms of oppression occur organically, like biases in healthcare, they're part of a larger pipeline that for capitalism is crucial to maintain. So to improve the standard of living for as many people around as possible, it's necessary for us to be able to step back and take a more holistic view of the things that are happening around us, so we can understand how these systems interlock and influence each other. Instead of pretending we can just cure disease by dealing with the symptoms, we need to understand disease itself in order to effectively organize against it. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like what you've just seen, please like, comment, and subscribe, as it helps me out a lot. Also, if you support me on Patreon, you'll get access to behind-the-scenes stuff, extra content, polls on future videos, and all kinds of other stuff. Mate Wafano. See you next time.
Definitely gonna have to disappear soon. Family gonna be here soon. I will maybe continue the rest of these videos later. There are several more, but they're written in pencil. There were ones that I felt like just didn't emphasize the point as much. That's where we're at right now and what we're watching. But I still think it ties in.
Hey everybody, welcome to our fun show. Today let's talk about misery.
Is this what you're looking for?
No, not that misery, but kind of. Let me explain. The media, especially local news, loves a feel-good story about people pulling themselves up by the bootstraps. Something that fairness and accuracy in reporting calls perseverance porn. It's a trend in news media in which human
I really hate inspiration porn. I really hate when people tell me to smile because some orphan raised enough money to pay for his fellow orphans' food bills.
economic suffering is tied up in a bow and presented as something adorable, like a picture of a big-eyed puppy crying over his lost health insurance. Oh, who can pay his premiums? You can't. You can't.
A nice time to remind you that YouTube has a fake animal rescue problem. That was a video I made recently.
If you're still not sure what I'm talking about, here are a few examples of real headlines. Young boy sells baseball cards to help friend with cancer. Boy sells lemonade to pay for his own adoption. The article opens with, this is one story that's got us right in the feels, and praises the boy's entrepreneurial spirit. Yes, that good old entrepreneurial spirit behind Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, or small boy who sells sugared lemon juice so he can have parents. Or how about this one? Heartwarming. Homeless child gives new backpack away to person sleeping on sidewalk. At first glance, these are harmless, heartwarming stories about neighbors helping each other out, or people overcoming strife through hard work and determination. But when you actually stop to think about it, for the amount of time it'll take you to get to the point, these stories are a symptom of a sick society that is unable and unwilling to care for its own citizens. Take this feel-good misery story, for example. A teacher ran out of sick days to stay with his cancer-stricken daughter, so his colleagues donated 100 days. The story's framed to try to make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside, to make you think, how sweet of all those teachers banding together to help their coworker visit a sick daughter. And yes, of course it's nice when people come together to help someone. And these teachers sound like genuinely good people. But the story is actually horrifying when you dig into it. The subject of the story, David Green, is a history teacher whose baby has cancer. He's only given 1 sick day a month. His daughter had received treatment in another town, so he needed at least 40 days to be able to visit her while she went through the grueling process of cancer treatment. The Green family posted about the predicament on Facebook, and fellow teachers and administrators offered to sacrifice their sick days. The assistant principal, Wilma the Emperor, is also going through cancer treatment, so she can only donate 2 sick days. And well, why is it up to other teachers to give up their own sick days to help a father visit his cancer-stricken daughter? Yes, it's kind, and it's generous, especially for the assistant principal who's also fighting cancer. But why do teachers have to choose between helping their colleague care for a sick daughter and their own sick days for when they get sick? There's got to be some kind of freak circumstance. Surely it's not a trend or something. Surely not everything is terrible. What's that? Everything is terrible? Splendid. Yep, and it turns out this whole teachers who spend their lives trying to educate our children don't have enough sick days for when they get cancer is actually kind of a thing here in the US of A. But don't worry, it looks like other school administrators who also have cancer will donate some of their sick.
Here's a fun fact that I can send photos of myself shaven to people that I apply jobs to. I can shave for a job if I get hired or if I get an interview call in. It's really crazy how easy it is to remove facial hair. Surprise.
Sick days. So cool. All the feels. Fun puff piece. Let's run that. Here's a fun clippable story. On average, teachers only make about $60,000 a year nationwide, and that's an average. So many teachers, especially in lower-income areas, are making much, much less than that. In many states, the average is only around $40,000 a year. On top of the generally low salary that teachers receive, they also receive only about 10 to 12 sick days per year. And if you, say, get breast cancer, you have to pay out of pocket to cover the cost of a substitute teacher while you enjoy the luxury of chemotherapy. And yes, this exact scenario did actually happen to a real elementary school teacher. So when you see the headlines, a teacher ran out of sick days to stay with his cancer-stricken daughter, so his colleagues donated 100 days, or a teacher battling cancer ran out of sick days, school employees showered him with theirs, or orphan boy with 2 broken arms sells lemon juice to pay for own adoption and surgery. It's not a nice story. It's a very terrible story. It's been framed in a sort of feel-good way. Although that orphan boy, what entrepreneurial spirit! Every time he squeezes a lemon to make lemon juice, it hurts his tiny broken arms. But gosh dang it, that's the sort of rags to lemon juice story our country was built on. When life gives you no parents and 2 broken arms, make a small business. Now, here's the heartwarming tale of a teacher who was battling stage 3 colon cancer and who, after 23 years of faithful teaching, wasn't given enough sick days to get chemotherapy for his cancer. Adorkable. The article is clearly framed as a feel-good piece, rather than a chilling look into an endless dystopian nightmare. The article describes a teacher who, in desperation, reached out for help on Facebook. CNN writes, within 4 days, he had enough sick days to cover an entire semester. He couldn't believe it happened so fast. Goodman 56 told CNN, see? Problem solved. In 4 days, humanity came through. Goosebumps. All the feels. CNN goes on to write, teachers, staff members, administrators, and even lunchroom workers who paid to the Florida retirement system transferred 75 sick days to Goodman. I don't take away from how genuinely good-hearted these people are. The teachers, staff, administrators, and lunchroom workers are all likely underpaid, overworked, and still donate their sick days, which they might need some days to be sick because they're good people. But just because they themselves are good and their actions heartwarming, the situation itself is not heartwarming. And framing it as such distracts us from the grim reality that the man who taught for 23 years wasn't given enough sick days to cover his cancer treatment. The article is full of beautiful aphorisms such as missing school but still teaching a lesson. The lesson being that if you get cancer after 23 years of teaching, you better hope the lunchroom workers have enough spare sick days to cover you, because while this story had a happy ending, many similar stories do not. Take for instance the example I mentioned earlier, where teachers have had to pay for their own substitutes while undergoing cancer treatment, or teachers who earn so little they can barely afford to pay for childcare for their own children. Or sometimes, even when someone tries to do the right thing, the kind, warm-hearted thing, instead of getting a feel-good ending, it results in someone losing their jobs. Here's a fun little story. In 2014, Jennifer Mitz, a Tennessee high school teacher, took a sick student to the hospital. The 20-year-old student had a high fever, didn't have transportation, and didn't have health insurance. Mitz paid for the student's hospital costs out of her own pocket. What a touching story. I'm sure that's where it ends, with everyone hugging and maybe a doctor comes into the room with a doctor's a Labrador retriever and lab coat. Please just let me have this one. Please? No? Fine. I will continue to suffer. Well, this kind-hearted teacher was allegedly forced to resign. The school administrators argued that she'd been warned before for taking another sick student to the hospital. Maybe the school administration thought they were doing the right thing, and maybe they themselves feared retribution. I don't think they're monsters who don't care about children. But this incident does show that good deeds don't always make up for a profoundly broken system. A system where if you don't have health insurance, well, you'd better hope you have a teacher willing to risk being fired over driving you to the hospital. This isn't the only time someone's been punished for trying to help a student who lacked health insurance. This year, a superintendent was arrested and charged with felony insurance fraud for taking a student sick with strep throat to the doctor and paying for his antibiotics. As the student didn't have insurance, she tried to pay out of her own pocket, but the clinic refused, so she took him to another clinic, lying and saying he was her son, so they would treat him under her insurance. After being charged with felony insurance fraud, she resigned from her position and said, I knew he didn't have insurance, and I wanted to do all I could to help him get well. I know this action was wrong. In the moment, my only concern was for this child's health. Don't you worry, folks. This dangerous criminal doing helping sick uninsured children crimes has learned her lesson not to help anyone again. The prosecutor in the case scolded her, saying, what kind of message is that to send to the students you're in charge of? And thank God they arrested this woman before she could teach children to try and help others. What's next? Teaching children that they should want to provide poor people with healthcare? That was a close call, but we nabbed her, boys. So even if you want to do the right thing, to try to help someone who is neglected by our society, sometimes your actions will be against the rules, and you'll be punished for it. It's almost as if the health insurance industry's main priority is to make money and not to help people. And police are there to enforce rules that benefit the insurance industry. No, that would be incredibly distressing and bleak. It would require we actually do something to change our society. So hey, here's a story about an adorable kitten. We have updated the story. God damn it. You see, for every feel-good story about someone managing to navigate through the broken glass and flaming barrels of toxic waste that makes up our society are hundreds of stories of people who aren't so lucky. For instance, check out this headline. Hoax adorable. But then this. It turns out a 9-year-old allowance, in fact, cannot solve institutional poverty. Now, I'm not trying to be like a massive Debbie Downer, sad sack, killjoy, buzzkill, although that is the name of one of my albums from my alt-rock band, We're Turbo F***ed. My point is that the saturation of feel-good, suffering stories inoculate us against absorbing how unfair and cruel much of our society has become. And sometimes these stories are straight-up marketing ploys. Check out this headline. KFC gifts a new car to an employee who walks 6 miles a day for a job. And KFC just really cares, you guys. The colonel's out there giving cars to his employees. I know he acts like a tough guy, but that white mustache is a mask that hides just how much he cares about each and every one of the single moms who work for him. And that little white soul patch is because he has a soul, you guys. Deep down in his heart, he's a finger-licking good person. Or an anti-calculated marketing ploy by the company to appear charitable towards their employees barely making minimum wage. In this story, a single mom has been struggling to save up for a car. Her boss entered her into KFC's Kentucky Fried Wishes contest. Now, sure, it was nice of her boss to enter into this contest, and you can blame her for being happy for winning a much-needed car. But let's look at the KFC's brand gesture here, which news organizations were courageously reporting as a beautiful, heartwarming move by the company, saying things like, quote, KFC is really trying to drive home the point that it appreciates its employees. Ah, nice, a car pun. Since you didn't have a car. Or on CBS, where they wrote, quote, the special honors given to KFC employees by the KFC Foundations. Employees can nominate coworkers who go above and beyond their job, and KFC will give them something special. Yes, because only those who walk 6 miles every day to their jobs deserve something special, and working long hours at minimum wage alone isn't going above and beyond. So the Kentucky Fried Wishes award is described on the KFC website as a contest wherein anyone can nominate an eligible KFC restaurant employee for a Kentucky Fried Wish. The wish could be big or small, need-based or life-enhancing. Examples of requests include dental work, a car, debt relief, a meaningful experience. The possibilities are almost endless. Well, the possibilities certainly aren't endless, as only $35,000 will be granted nationwide in 2019. Now you may be saying, hey, really? At least they're giving away money. I mean, I don't see you giving away $35,000. First of all, to be fair, once I did give away $35,000 in Minecraft coins because I wanted to help build a giant dick building. I wanted the wing of the left testicle named after me. So that's philanthropy. You f***ers Minecraft coins in Minecraft, right? I don't know. Secondly, in 2017, KFC had a revenue of over $3 billion, while the parent company had a revenue of about $6 billion. So $35,000 is literally pocket change. In fact, on average, their employees won't even make $35,000 a year. According to the Huffington Post, Yum Brands Inc., which owns KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut, is one of America's lowest paying companies, and their KFC franchise in particular compensates their employees the least. Yum! The story of a single mother who had to walk 6 miles a day before Kentucky Fried Wishes blessed her with a car happened in Salem, Oregon. So let's take a look at the average KFC employee salary in Oregon. According to Indeed.com, a KFC customer service representative earns on average $20,000 a year. This is barely above the 2019 federal poverty line of $16,910 a year. According to the MIT living wage, is well below the living wage of $53,000 a year for a single parent and child. In fact, a KFC manager won't even earn that much, with an average salary in Oregon of $47,434, according to Indeed.com. In short, Indeed, the free advertisement the KFC got from this story probably paid for itself, all without having to actually improve the lives of the majority of their employees by increasing their salaries. That might cost them a few of their many thousands of millions. But if you're wondering why KFC knew it could get away with its blatant marketing without being questioned, you only need to look at stories like this one a year ago. CEO gives employee car to walk 20 miles on the first day of work. Try that one again, Washington Post. Come on. Or this one. Loyal customer gives McDonald's employee free car after hearing about her struggles. Or this. Whoops. I'm back in there. Just gonna hold on and see if I can read it. Okay. Anyway, I don't think it's wrong to point out the good deeds that people do. It's actually important to remind ourselves that human beings are often kind, and many people are willing to help each other in the face of adversity. But seemingly, more often, the news media doesn't bother to dive into the circumstances behind these feel-good stories and frames them in a way that's supposed to be uplifting, rather than circumspect about how much society has failed people. These feel-good stories are supposed to be neutral, apolitical, just to tell a warm, fuzzy story. But there is no neutral story. By omitting the systemic problems behind these stories, it gives us a warped perception that there's some kind of just universe that will compensate for unfair systems, delivering unexpected rewards to those who have labored under crushing inequality. When in fact, most of the time, this simply isn't true. People are exploited, work hard for years, are left without health insurance or help, and simply fade into the background. It's important to recognize this, not to feel hopeless, but to realize that we actually need to act, that we can help people. But in order to do so on a massive scale, we need to work together as an entire society to implement actual changes that will help everyone, regardless of whether their Facebook post pleading for help gets enough views. Because it's true, deep down, most of us really want to help each other, I think. But we're not omniscient. We don't know where our charity dollars are needed most. We don't know which of the countless GoFundMes we should drop $50 on to save someone's life. And if you think I'm exaggerating, I'm not. In 2017, a man named Shane Patrick Boyle started a GoFundMe to pay for a month of his life-saving insulin, and he couldn't afford the spiraling cost of insulin, which is set by the effective monopoly that Sanofi, Eli Lilly, and Novo Nordisk have on the drug. Shane had lost coverage of his medication after moving to Arkansas to care for his sick mother. He started a GoFundMe and raised $750, only $50 short of his goal. If people had known that only $50 would save his life, I'm certainly would have chipped in, because if we can learn anything from the feel-good suffering news stories, it's that people do want to help each other. But there's so many people who need help, so many GoFundMes set up to cover medical costs. It's literally impossible to know where to spend that $50, where your dollars need to go to save someone's life. Shane Patrick Boyle passed away due to lack of access to insulin for his type 1 diabetes. He didn't die because people are uncharitable. He died because charity as a band-aid to cover a broken healthcare system doesn't work. That's a very sad story. Okay. How about this? Pretty cute, right? Or this? How about this one? What an entrepreneurial spirit. What? Pull yourself up by your Bootstraps attitude. God damn it!
There are quite a few second thought videos on this one. He's particularly good at touching on this issue, I guess, that I'm trying to compensate through these videos. Damn it, it seems like that one's missing. I definitely would not have titled that something that, like, doesn't relate to the direct title. Sometimes I shorten titles, but it would not be just a complete different phrase. Sometimes things get removed. I guess that's what happened this time. I'll find a different one.
This episode is made possible by CuriosityStream. Get free access to Nebula, the streaming platform built by all your favorite YouTubers, especially in the United States. You've no doubt heard the claim that capitalism is the most efficient system for the distribution of products, and that this is thanks to the miracle of the free market, a completely organic system by which the true value of goods and services are determined. As I've mentioned in recent videos, American faith in the economic structure of capitalism is on the decline, but arguments for the effectiveness of the system are still very common. In this episode, we're going to take a look at one of the more common ones, the assertion that capitalism is efficient. Let's start with that word, efficient. What is efficiency? The dictionary definition is effective operation as measured by comparison of production with cost, as in energy, time, and money. The capitalist understanding of that definition is where we get into trouble. Capitalism is driven by the profit motive, the pursuit of ever greater financial gain regardless of actual economic performance. With that vision in mind, efficiency can be defined as making the smallest possible investment or expending the least amount of energy or resources to ensure increasing profits and minimum acceptable function or quality. This capitalist translation of efficiency causes some serious problems, which we'll explore later. But first, we need to address some misconceptions espoused by the type of person who tends to claim capitalism is efficient. First and foremost, there's a common misconception that capitalism is defined by markets, that if a system has markets, it's capitalism. That is not the case. Take feudalism, for example. As a system that existed well before the birth of capitalism, it cannot be claimed that feudalism was capitalist, and yet feudalism had markets. Serfs produced goods, which they handed over to their lords, and which those lords then sold in markets. Sometimes even the serfs had access to markets. Okay, but if capitalism isn't defined by markets, if markets existed long before capitalism, what does define it? Opinions can vary, but if you ask me, I would say capitalism is defined by three core philosophies. First, the drive for short-term profits over long-term stability. Second, the rigid stratification of the owner class and the working class. And third, a devotion to imperialist expansion and infinite growth. As socialists have correctly pointed out for well over a century, proven their accuracy many times over. Capitalism relies on the exploitation of workers at home and abroad, and this working class is entirely at the mercy of those who own the companies which put them to work. In reality, these workers are often more excluded from capitalist markets than even fuel serfs, because the modern worker does not own any of the goods or services they produce. Okay, why does that matter? It matters because if the workers are excluded from the market system, that means only a tiny minority of wealthy and powerful people, the owner class, has access to the so-called free market. But the selling of products on the market is only half the equation. The other half is production. Similar to the sale of products by the owner class, the production of those products is also controlled by the wealthy and powerful. Those who own the means of production, a factory, a pharmaceutical lab, a supermarket chain, decide what is produced, how it is produced, when it is produced, and so on. These people, who do not perform any of the actual labor, dictate the terms to those who do, and when the demanded products are finished, they own them. In this way, the owner class, the capitalists, have complete control of the free market system, from production to sale. Okay, but that's just the creation and sale of the actual products, right? Doesn't the free market still determine the final price and dictate how and what companies produce? Misguided defenders of capitalism will say, of course, the market is beholden to the law of supply and demand. Companies have to produce what the market demands, or they won't make a profit. This belief in a supposed economic law is not reflected in reality. Like everything else under capitalism, supply and demand is manipulated by those with money and power. Let's look at one recent example.
This is one of Amazon's biggest UK warehouses in Dunfermline, Scotland, and from inside where millions of perfectly good products each year are spent to be destroyed. Secret footage captured in what's known as the destruction zone, and that calls into question the company's environmental and ethical practices. MIT News investigation reveals unsold laptops scanned not for delivery, but instead marked destroyed. Boxes full of electrical items such as drills, shavers, headphones, even smart TVs. The list goes on. Brand new books still in their wrappers, or jewelry or steel cutlery, with that same instruction: destroy. One former employee who wishes to remain anonymous reveals the scale of what they're asked to do.
So from Friday to Friday, our target was approximately 130,000 items a week.
The target to destroy from one centre was 130,000 items.
Yes, there's no rhyme or reason to what gets destroyed. Dyson fans, hoovers, the occasional MacBook or iPad. Or the other day, 20 bins filled with thousands of COVID masks still in their plastic wrappers.
Separately, we followed another lorry as it headed out carrying non-electrical items. The destination, a landfill and recycling site, only a few miles from where they'd been stored, but in the main, still perfectly usable.
All right, gotta stop streaming.